Chapter 256. Miracle Dr. Shui and Lin Shun started chatting warmly. Bien Suin was worried and said, "Let's deal with the important matters first. Let's deal with the important matters first. Once we're done with this, you can chat however you want." Yes, Uncle Master is right," Miracle Dr. Shui said hurriedly. Lin Shun nodded as well. He quickly shut his mouth and stopped talking to Miracle Dr. Shui. "This way," Bien Suin said as she brought Miracle Dr. Shui to an intensive care unit. Wang Haoran and the rest followed. Seeing that Bien Suin was about to bring Miracle Dr. Shui into the ward, Lin Shun said, "Third sister, let me in to take a look." Lin Shun had a certain level of attainment in medical skills. Hearing this, Bien Suin pondered for a second before nodding in agreement. Wang Haoran didn't say anything to stop her. Lin Shin's medical skills must have been exchanged from the prodigy system. His standard was definitely not very high. After all, Lin Shun had been stopped many times, and the points he had obtained were limited. It was almost impossible for him to exchange for the best medical skills. Moreover, if Lin Shun really had such high medical skills, he would have gone to show off and detoxify the poison. He wouldn't have gone through the trouble of accompanying Bien Suin to save Miracle Dr. Shui. After coming to this conclusion, Wang Haoran didn't panic at all. Just as Wang Haoran was thinking about this, Bien Suin, Lin Shun, and Miracle Dr. Shui walked into the intensive care unit. Bien Suin had already checked the situation, so it was unnecessary to check again. Lin Shun checked and didn't say anything, because he couldn't do it. Miracle Dr. Shui checked as well. His expression turned serious as he looked at Bien Suin. "That's right," Bien Suin nodded. "Last night, the holy maiden of the poison sect, Xiao Wanwan, challenged me. Is this Xiao Wanwan crazy? How dare she use the forbidden poison of the poison sect?" Miracle Dr. Shui was terrified. "Forbidden poison, you mean?" Hearing Miracle Dr. Shui's words, Bien Suin recalled some of the books she had read in the Celestial Doctor Valley. Miracle Dr. Shui's face was filled with shock and fear. "That's right. It's the infernal feather blood prison. Once this poison erupts, the victim will explode and die. Their blood will turn into a blood mist and fuse into the air, turning the air within a 10-kilometer radius into poisonous gas. Any animal that breathes in even a trace of it will be infected with the poison of the infernal feather blood prison. Moreover, not only will the toxicity of this secondary poison not weaken, it will even strengthen. When the secondary poison person's toxicity erupts, it will not just pollute the air within a 10-kilometer radius, but an even larger area. If this cycle continues, I'm afraid the human world will become a purgatory. The poison sex people are simply insane." Evil feather blood prison. Bien Suin's face turned pale after hearing Miracle Dr. Shui's words. Actually, she had such suspicions before, but she didn't know much about this kind of taboo poison and underestimated Xiao Wanwan's ruthlessness, so she didn't dare to jump to conclusions. Miracle Dr. Shui was older and had followed his senior brother for a long time, so he naturally knew more about the taboo poison of the poison sect. Since he said so, then Xiao Wanwan must have used the infernal feather blood prison. Wouldn't burying the victim underground stop the spread of the poison? Lin Shin couldn't help but ask when he heard this. "If it's really that simple, then it wouldn't be a taboo poison," Miracle Dr. Shui said. "Aren't you two miracle doctors? You can't even cure this poison?" Lin Shin couldn't help but ask when he saw their expressions. "Little friend, even if my master was still alive, he would find this poison troublesome," Miracle Dr. Shui sighed. Lin Shin questioned, "This poison was created by humans, so there must be an antidote. I don't believe that there's a poison in this world that can't be cured." Miracle Dr. Shui nodded when he heard this. "You're right. The only person in this world who can easily cure the infernal feather blood prison is probably the poison sex patriarch." Bien Suin exclaimed, "That poison sect patriarch is of the same generation as senior brother. He should be more than 150 years old, right? How can he still be alive?" Miracle Dr. Shui said, "Master respects nature and sees life and death calmly. He has never thought of reversing his own life and death. But the poison sex patriarch is different. His philosophy is to go against the heavens. When Master was still alive, I heard him say that the poisoned sex patriarch was concocting a medicine that could rejuvenate one's youth. After so many years, there hasn't been any news of the poisoned sex patriarch passing away. Now it seems like he has successfully concocted the medicine and is still alive. The poisoned sex sect master position is empty. If the poisoned sex patriarch is still alive, why hasn't the poisoned sect noticed anything? Bien Suen asked with doubt. Miracle Dr. Shui said, the poisoned sex talents have withered, and their juniors can't be compared to our celestial medicine valley. They also can't cure the taboo poison and didn't dare to use it lightly in the past to prevent it from harming the world and attracting the attention of other hidden sects. Hearing this, Bien Suen completely came to her senses and was shocked. She didn't listen to the rest of the words. But Bien Suen could already confirm that the poisoned sex patriarch was still alive. And from Xiao Wanwan's actions, it was obvious that she only knew about this news recently. No wonder Xiao Wanwan was so confident. She had such a backing. The poisoned sex patriarch, Bien Suen, fell helpless. An old monster like this wasn't someone she could fight against. Would the celestial medicine valley fall into desolation? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel sorrowful. Although the previous celestial doctor of the celestial medicine valley was Bien Suen's senior brother in name, he accepted her as a disciple on behalf of his master. To a certain extent, Bien Suen and the old celestial doctor were actually master and disciple. When the old celestial doctor passed away, Bien Suen promised to bring glory to the celestial medicine valley and wouldn't let it fall in her hands. But now, Martial Ant, sensing Bien Suen's emotions, Miracle Dr. Shui was also sorrowful. I'm the valley master of the celestial medicine valley. Even if I die, I can't tarnish the reputation of the celestial medicine valley. Bien Suen's cold face revealed a trace of determination. Miracle Dr. Shui understood and knew that Bien Suen wanted to try her best to detoxify the poison. Immediately, he pulled himself together and said respectfully, "Please instruct me, Martial Ant. If anything happens to me, you'll be the next Valley Master." Bien Suen took a deep breath and sat beside one of the poison girls. "Martial Ant, you can't do this." Miracle Dr. Shui was shocked and wanted to stop her immediately. However, Bien Suen's actions were too fast and it was too late. Bien Suen used a silver needle to stab the girl's finger and dyed the needle with a trace of blood. Immediately after, the silver needle was ignited by a trace of true qi and emitted a trace of black and red gas. Bien Suen sucked in all the black and red qi. Almost instantly, Bien Suen's face turned gloomy. The poison in the infernal feather blood prison was very unique. Even a trace of it was enough to poison a person. After a few days, it would explode and create a terrifying destructive force. In other words, Bien Suen was in the same state as the poison people. It was just that Bien Suen cultivated her inner energy and had a higher resistance to the poison. Even if she was poisoned, she didn't faint immediately. Of course, the dizziness was unavoidable. Third sister, Lin Shin, saw that something was wrong and shouted in panic, "Little friend, don't go near her. You might be poisoned too." Miracle Dr. Shui quickly advised. Hearing this, Lin Shin also stopped touching Bien Suen. He could only worry helplessly. "Remember what I said." Bien Suen forced herself to stay strong and said to Miracle Dr. Shui. Miracle Dr. Shui was an expert and naturally understood that Bien Suen wanted to use her body to test the poison. She wanted to understand the composition of the poison and then detoxify it. This was indeed a method, but it was too dangerous. However, the situation had already reached this stage, and it was too late to turn back. Thinking of this, Miracle Dr. Shui quickly said, "Martial Ant, please speak." Pituitary poison, black mulberry cotyledon, jade crow head, saffron beard. Bien Suen slowly recited the names of a few poisons. However, when she said the fourth one, she suddenly stopped. She felt that the blood in her body was boiling, as if it was rushing out of her body. Bien Suen was shocked, because this was the precursor of the poison in the infernal feather blood prison. Chapter 257. Quick, leave this place and evacuate the crowd. Quick, Bien Suen said as she endured the pain. Miracle Dr. Shui was shocked when he saw the situation. He was almost scared out of his wits. Bien Suen's idea of using her body to test the poison was a good idea. However, as she had been in contact with drugs for a long time, her blood contained a type of drug. The poison in the onyx feather blood prison was very unstable. After it entered Bien Suen's blood, it skipped a few days and was on the verge of exploding. Let's go. Miracle Dr. Shui was very decisive. After hearing Bien Suen's words, he opened the heavy door of the ICU and pulled Lin Shen out. Just as the door opened, Wang Haoran walked into the ICU. Wang Haoran had X-ray vision and learned how to read lips. Although he was standing outside, he knew everything that was said inside. However, the door of the ICU was very thick. It was locked from the inside just now, so he couldn't enter immediately. Now that Miracle Dr. Shui and Lin Shen opened the door, he naturally walked in. It's dangerous inside. Don't go in. Miracle Dr. Shui stopped him. However, before he could finish his sentence, the door was closed. He couldn't push it open no matter how hard he tried. Do you want to die? Let's go. Bien Suen was furious when she saw Wang Haoran barging in. Wang Haoran ignored her. Although the poison in the onyx feather blood prison was scary, it was really easy for Wang Haoran to get rid of it, because his blood could cure the poison. After all, Bien Suen was the female lead. It would be a pity if she died. Of course, he couldn't sit back and do nothing. Let's go or you'll die. Seeing that Wang Haoran wasn't listening, Bien Suen went forward and pushed him. In Wang Haoran's mind, a melodramatic romance scene appeared. He suddenly grabbed Bien Suen's hand and said, "Without you, there's no meaning in living." Goosebumps appeared on his body when he said this melodramatic line. However, the effect was obvious. As soon as he said that, Wang Haoran received a system notification. Ding! The female lead Bien Suen's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 50. Adoration. Ding! The host has influenced the direction of the plot and obtained 1,800 villain points. Lin Shen's protagonist aura -90. The host's villain aura +90. Bien Suen stared at Wang Haoran in a daze. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she said, "I understand your thoughts. However, I am unlucky. I don't have the fate to be with you in this life. Leave and forget about me." "No, I can help. There's not enough time. Let's go." Bien Suen could feel that the poison in her body was about to erupt. Hence, she interrupted Wang Haoran and used brute force to push Wang Haoran away. Time was of the essence, and Wang Haoran also understood that there was no way he could explain in detail. Therefore, he directly bit the corner of his lips, and the taste of blood immediately filled his mouth. Soon after, he tyrannically walked closer. Bien Suen saw a handsome man's face enlarging in her vision. When she reacted, it was already too late. That was because there was a taste of blood in her mouth. Bien Suen understood that under such contact, Wang Haoran would definitely be poisoned by the evil feather blood prison. Pushing Wang Haoran away, Bien Suen said sadly, "For me, you are even willing to give up your life. Is it worth it?" 2 lines of clear tears flowed from the corner of her eyes. "My life is precious. Of course, I cherish it. I'm just helping you to detoxify the poison." Wang Haoran thought so in his heart. However, he would of course not say it out loud. He only said, "Don't talk." He passed the blood into Bien Suen's mouth. Although it was only a small amount, it was enough to detoxify the poison in Bien Suen's body. As long as Bien Suen stayed still, the poison in her body would be detoxified very quickly. However, the reason was too complicated. Wang Haoran did not want to explain it to Bien Suen because it was too troublesome. After hearing Wang Haoran's simple words, Bien Suen was so touched that she was about to burst into tears. Yes, it was already like this. She was not far from death. There was no need for words. Bien Suen only wanted to make use of her last moments to be with the person she loved. Thinking so, Bien Suen did not care about anything else. She hooked onto his neck. Wang Haoran was stunned for a moment. He quickly pushed Bien Suen away. I just saved you for you, and you still won't do it. He had just bitten his mouth. His wound was touched. Naturally, it would hurt. Wang Haoren was not happy with Bien Suen's action. However, Bien Suen was in love. How could she care so much? Wang Haoren became the passive one. At the same time, ding, the female lead Bien Suen's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability towards the host is 60. Admiration, ding, the female lead Bien Suen's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability towards the host is 70. Undying love, ding, the female lead Bien Suen's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability towards the host is 90. Undying love, ding, the host has greatly influenced the plot. Received 3,800 villain points. Lin Shen's protagonist aura minus 190. The host's villain aura plus 190. Although his mouth hurt, after hearing the series of system notifications, Wang Haoren was so happy that he threw it all to the back of his mind. He did not think that in such a short period of time, Bien Suen's favorability towards him had increased to 90. However, thinking about it, it was normal. Because of her poor cognition, Bien Suen mistook Wang Haoren's actions as Wang Haoren wanting to die with her. How could Bien Suen not be moved? After a minute, Bien Suen fainted in Wang Haoren's arms because of the poison. However, the poison in her body had stabilized. She just needed to wait for the antidote to take effect. Then the poison would be cured. Wang Haoren secretly destroyed the surveillance camera in the ICU and helped the other 3 victims to cure the poison. After doing all this, Wang Haoren pretended to faint. Now that Bien Suen had mistakenly thought that Wang Haoren wanted to die for her, Wang Haoren naturally would not reveal that he could cure the poison. Otherwise, everything would be exposed. Pretending to faint was the best method. On the other hand, the outside world was in chaos. Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu were extremely anxious. Especially Qiu Qianwei, who almost went crazy after finding out the situation from Miracle Dr. Shui. She wanted to go in to check on the situation. Miracle Dr. Shui told her about the dangers, but Qiu Qianwei did not care about her life and insisted on going in. Hence, Miracle Dr. Shui asked for some protective clothing from a hospital. After Qiu Qianwei was fully equipped, she went into the ICU to check and inform Miracle Dr. Shui. Miracle Dr. Shui made a judgment and confirmed that the poison in Marshal Uncle Bien Suen's body had not broken out. Hence, he gathered his courage and went to check on Bien Suen personally. He realized that not only was the poison in Bien Suen's body stable, but it was also showing signs of disappearing. Miracle Dr. Shui was overjoyed. He arranged for Wang Haoren and Bien Suen to be in a ward each. Chapter 258. One day later, Bien Suen woke up slowly. Lu Yu and Lin Shun were waiting beside the bed. Third sister, how are you feeling? Lu Yu was surprised and asked immediately. Looking at the surroundings, Bien Suen was in a daze for a while. Then, she realized that she was still alive. Moreover, the perfect condition of her body told her that the poison was gone. Bien Suen was puzzled by this. However, she was more concerned about someone else than herself at the moment. Where's Wang Haoren? Bien Suen asked immediately. He's next door. 7th sister and 6th sister are taking care of him, Lu Yu replied. Hearing that, Bien Suen got down from the bed and walked to the next room barefooted without even putting on her shoes. Ji Shuiyao and Qiu Qianwei, who were waiting beside Wang Haoren's bed, heard the commotion outside the door and looked over instinctively. Bien Suen was a little cautious, but she couldn't care less. She walked to the bedside and held Wang Haoren's hand tightly. Her eyes were full of tenderness. Qiu Qianwei and Ji Shuiyao weren't surprised when they saw that. This was because they had seen the unconscious Wang Haoren and Bien Suen hugging each other when they had entered the ICU. I'm going out to buy something. Ji Shuiyao found an excuse and left. From her point of view, Qiu Qianwei and Wang Haoren were a couple. Now that Bien Suen was involved, she would let the 3 of them handle it. Ji Shuiyao knew that she was still an outsider and it was a one-sided love. Naturally, it wasn't appropriate for her to interfere. However, after leaving the ICU, Ji Shueiyao was curious. Hence, she leaned against the door and listened carefully. In the room, after a moment of silence, Qiu Qianwei was the first to break the silence. Third sister, the friend that you mentioned earlier was actually you, right? Yes. Bian Suan didn't hide it. Qiu Qianwei nodded slowly. When she saw Bian Suan's excited attitude when she talked about Wang Haoren, she felt that it wasn't a simple matter. When she entered the ICU and saw Wang Haoren and Bian Suan hugging each other, she was even more certain of her guess. Now that he heard Bian Suan admit it, he was finally certain. After hearing Bian Su's answer, Qiu Qianwei looked at Wang Haoren's sleeping face and threw out a piece of heavy news. Actually, he is my boyfriend. What? Bian Su was shocked. She let go of Wang Haoren's hand subconsciously. Seventh sister, I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. In fact, you met him earlier than me. Wang Haoren was already in such a situation, so Qiu Qianwei naturally wouldn't blame him. Qiu Qianwei also felt sorry for her when she heard her third sister Bian Suan's story. Naturally, she wouldn't criticize her. Seventh younger sister, to have such a magnanimous younger sister like you, I'm really convinced. Bian Suan was touched and couldn't help but hold Qiu Qianwei's hand tightly. She struggled in her heart for a while and then said solemnly, "Don't worry. After he wakes up, I'll immediately return to the imperial capital. I definitely won't ruin your relationship." Third sister, will you be happy doing this? Qiu Qianwei asked. Bian Suan's expression was painful. She was speechless. Of course, she wouldn't be happy. However, she felt guilty. For the sake of their sisterhood, she could only make this choice. Qiu Qianwei looked at her third sister and felt sorry for her. After hesitating for a while, she suddenly said, "Third sister, you don't have to do this. If it's someone else, I'll chase them away no matter what. However, you're different. I don't want to leave him, but I don't want you to be sad." Bian Suan looked at Qiu Qianwei in disbelief. You mean, of course. Third sister, if you don't want to, then pretend that I didn't say anything. Qiu Qianwei quickly said, No, I'm willing. Bian Suan quickly replied. The best way was to have the best of both worlds. How could Bian Suan not agree? Although this was ridiculous, seventh sister was right. They were all on the same side. There was no need to fight. Wasn't it good for everyone to be happy? However, Bian Suan had made up her mind to give in to Qiu Qianwei. Firstly, she was the elder sister, and Qiu Qianwei was the younger sister. It was natural for the elder sister to give in to the younger sister. Secondly, Qiu Qianwei came first, and she came later. According to the rules, Qiu Qianwei was the older one, and she was the younger one. Wang Haoren, who was pretending to be asleep on the bed, was overjoyed when he heard their conversation. He had been pretending to be asleep. Firstly, he wanted to avoid the rescue. Secondly, he didn't know how to reconcile the relationship between Qiu Qianwei and Bian Suan. Hence, he had been pretending to be asleep and thinking of a solution. What he didn't expect was that before he even said anything, the two sisters had already discussed it and came up with a solution that satisfied both sides. She was indeed the female lead of a Shuangwen novel. She knew how to share with others and not monopolize. Although the sharing was only limited to sisters, it was already good enough. Moreover, Wang Haoren saw Ji Shueiyao, who was standing outside the door and listening to Qiu Qianwei and Bian Suan's conversation. She was overjoyed. What was going on? Did Ji Shueiyao have the same idea? Beautiful. Wang Haoren was secretly happy for a long time. After pretending to be asleep for so long, he was a little tired. Hence, he moved his fingers. Although Qiu Qianwei and Bian Suan were talking, their attention was always on Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren's small movement was noticed by the two of them. The two of them stopped talking and looked at Wang Haoren with anticipation. Seeing this, Wang Haoren slowly woke up under the expectant gazes of the two. Is this heaven? Wang Haoren asked with a confused look on his face. You're not dead. You're still alive, Qiu Qianwei said gently. I clearly remember that I felt uncomfortable all over. I felt like I was going to die. How did this happen? Wang Haoren pretended to be confused. Hearing this, Bian Suan was also stunned. She wanted to ask Wang Haoren what happened and how he was cured of the poison. However, Looking at Wang Haoran's expression and tone, she was also confused. Think about it. Did you see anyone else in the ICU before you fainted? Bien-Suan thought about it and asked. The poison in the evil feather blood prison could not be fake. It would not be cured for no reason. Someone must have helped him. Hearing this, Wang Haoran pretended to recall. However, after a few seconds, he suddenly shouted, "Ah, my head hurts. Forget it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it." Bien-Suan felt sorry for him and quickly said. Xiao Qianwei was also feeling the same. Hence, she hugged Wang Haoran's head and let him lean on her chest to relieve his pain. Wang Haoran stopped pretending. However, his head was quite comfortable, so he did not move away. After this, Bien-Suan did not ask Wang Haoran about his thoughts. However, at this moment, there was a soft knock on the door. Xiao Qianwei was nervous. She shyly pushed Wang Haoran away and let him lie on the bed. Then, she said to Bien-Suan, "Third sister, fifth sister, and sixth sister still don't know that Haoran and I are a couple. Don't tell anyone about this first. I don't want to cause trouble for Haoran." Understood. Bien-Suan nodded happily and reminded, "Don't tell anyone about me and Haoran for the time being." She was also quite shy and did not want to act like this in front of others. Xiao Qianwei's actions were exactly what she wanted. Hearing their words, Wang Haoran felt extremely comfortable. The two of them were really enlightened. He did not need to worry about anything at all. It seemed like as long as he did not seek death on purpose, the situation would not collapse. "Come in," Bien-Suan said to the person outside the door. The door opened, and Miracle Dr. Shui walked in. He said with a serious expression, "Uncle Master, an uninvited guest is here." Chapter 259. Bien-Suan tensed up when she heard Miracle Dr. Shui's words. However, before she could say anything, she saw a figure walk into the ward. It was the poison sex holy maiden, Xiao Wanwan. Bien-Suan took a step forward, ready for battle. Xiao Qianwei and Wang Haoran were here, while Lu Yu, Ji Shuiyao, and Lin Chen were outside. Bien-Suan was afraid that Xiao Wanwan would do something rash and hurt them, so she was extra careful. Xiao Wanwan couldn't help but chuckle when she saw Bien-Suan's anxious look. "Don't be nervous. I'm just here to see you with a headache. I don't have any other intentions." Wang Haoran was lying on the bed. Because of the angle, Xiao Wanwan didn't notice him. Plus, Bien-Suan was standing in front of him, blocking Xiao Wanwan's view. However, Wang Haoran could see clearly with his X-ray vision. He immediately recognized that this was the poison sex holy maiden, Xiao Wanwan, whom he met on the way here last night. From Bien-Suan's expression and actions, it was obvious that she had a grudge against Xiao Wanwan. In terms of closeness, Wang Haoran naturally wanted to help Bien-Suan. But Xiao Wanwan was also the female lead. In order to help Bien-Suan, he couldn't possibly kill Xiao Wanwan, right? She was a pretty female lead after all. Wouldn't it be a pity if she died? After thinking about it, Wang Haoran continued to pretend to be asleep. He would observe the situation and act according to the situation. Bien-Suan stared at Xiao Wanwan and said coldly, "You're ruthless. You even used the poison sex taboo poison to win the battle. If you can't control it and it erupts, can your poison sect withstand the wrath of so many hidden sects?" Xiao Wanwan played it down. "After I defeat you, there will naturally be someone to cure this poison. You don't have to worry about the poison sect's safety." Hearing this, Bien-Suan was 100% sure that the poison sect's patriarch was still alive. Otherwise, Xiao Wanwan wouldn't be so calm. But after coming to this conclusion, Bien-Suan panicked even more. Over 100 years ago, the poison sect's ancestor's name had already shaken the world's hidden sections. She definitely wasn't someone she could contend against. However, as the Valley Master of the Celestial Medicine Valley, no matter how afraid he was, he would not reveal such emotions on his face and embarrass the Celestial Medicine Valley. Meeting Xiao Wanwan's gaze, Bien-Suan said seriously, "There's no need to wait anymore. I've already removed the forbidden poison. You've lost." Bien-Suan didn't know why the poison in the blood prison had been dispelled, but this was good news for her. Thus, she took on the task of detoxifying the poison. Impossible. Hearing Bien-Suan's words, Xiao Wanwan immediately spat out these 3 words resolutely. She and Bien Suen had been rivals for a long time. She knew Bien Suen's background. Not to mention Bien Suen, even the previous celestial doctor of the Celestial Medicine Valley might not be able to get rid of the poison easily within a day and a half. Take her to have a look. Bien Suen had already guessed Xiao Wanwan's reaction. After seeing her doubt, he said this to Miracle Dr. Shui. Miracle Dr. Shui didn't discuss this with Bien Suen beforehand, but he was very experienced. After hearing Bien Suen's words, he immediately understood. This way, please. Miracle Dr. Shui said to Xiao Wanwan and gestured for her to follow him. Xiao Wanwan followed Miracle Dr. Shui for a while and returned to the ward 10 minutes later. Impossible. You definitely didn't remove the poison. In this world, other than the poisoned sex ancestor, no one else can remove this poison. Xiao Wanwan was very agitated. She was the one who had poisoned them. Xiao Wanwan remembered the faces of the 3 poisoned people clearly. It was impossible for Bien Suen to find 3 people to impersonate the poisoned people. This could only mean that the 3 poisoned people were indeed detoxified. However, Xiao Wanwan didn't believe that it was Bien Suen who did it. Only the poisoned sex ancestor can detoxify the poison in the blood prison. Bullsh T, I could detoxify it. After hearing Xiao Wanwan's words, Wang Haoran cursed in his heart. However, even though he was cursing, Wang Haoran was still quite curious about the poisoned sex ancestor. He had perfectly comprehended the sovereign poison scripture and could be considered a supreme poison expert in the world. When he heard the title of the poisoned sex ancestor, he was naturally unhappy. As a great villain, how could he allow a bad person to be more cunning than him? With that thought, Wang Haoran contacted the system. Check the poisoned sex ancestor's information. The system had a search function. Other than the main lead and female lead, one could search for information related to the character based on the title. Searching requires 500 villain points. Would you like to search? When he searched for the shameless war god and the child prodigy Lin Shun, he only needed to spend 200 villain points. Was the poisoned sex ancestor that amazing? Did it cost 500 to search for him? Wang Haoran grumbled inwardly, but when he saw that there were over 30,000 villain points on his status panel, he didn't really care. Search! Wang Haoran ordered generously. The poisoned sex ancestor has been cold for over 50 years, unable to search for specific information. That's it. Wang Haoran felt like he'd wasted time. After all this time, the poisoned sex ancestor was already cold, but that was good too. This way, no one would be able to shake his position as the supreme poison expert. Bien Suen looked at Xiao Wanwan and sneered. Do you think your poisoned sex ancestor will help me? If I wasn't the one who detoxified the poison, who else could it be? The truth is right in front of your eyes. Are you going to deny it? Xiao Wanwan gritted her teeth. According to the rules, she had to commit suicide if she lost. After all, she was the one who'd personally handed the challenge letter to Bien Suen. But how could she be willing to accept that? If she didn't commit suicide, wouldn't the poisoned sect become the laughingstock of the hidden sects? Just as Xiao Wanwan was struggling internally, Bien Suen added, the poison sect and the immortal medicine valley have been enemies for many years. Both sides have suffered injuries and deaths, but no one has truly gained the upper hand. Although I've won, you don't have to commit suicide. You just have to promise that the poison sect won't fight with the immortal medicine valley for 20 years. The poison sect has no leader now. With your status as the poison sect's holy maiden, you can definitely do this. Because of the poison sect's ancestor's existence, Bien Suen didn't dare to let Xiao Wanwan die as promised. Otherwise, the poison sect's ancestor wouldn't care about seniority and bully the weak. Then the immortal medicine valley would be the unlucky ones. Within 20 years, Bien Suen had absolute confidence that she could raise her medical skills to a higher level. By then, she wouldn't have to fear the poisoned sex ancestor. Xiao Wanwan saw right through Bien Suen's thoughts. But she had a question, so she asked, I only found out that the poisoned sex ancestor was still alive because I accidentally bumped into him last night. How did you find out? Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. The poisoned sex ancestor was long dead, but Xiao Wanwan said that she'd bumped into him last night. She clearly mistook him for the poisoned sex ancestor. Chapter 260. If it wasn't for the poison sect's old ancestor backing you, you wouldn't dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Bien Suin replied to Xiao Wanwan's words. Consider my suggestion. Xiao Wanwan snorted coldly. You're smart, but I'm not stupid. You want to buy time for yourself to grow? Stop dreaming. I've been indebted to the poison sect since I was young. For the benefit of the sect, I don't mind dying. The old ancestor will definitely avenge me. After saying that, Xiao Wanwan took out a dagger and was about to slit her neck. She was about to die. Bien Suin was shocked. If Xiao Wanwan died, the enmity between the poison sect and the immortal Medicine Valley would deepen. But at this critical moment, she couldn't stop it in time. Clang! A force flew out from nowhere and knocked the dagger in Xiao Wanwan's hand to the ground. The sudden situation startled Xiao Wanwan, Bien Suin, and the others. No one could clearly see where the energy came from. Cough, cough, cough. A coughing sound came from the bed. Bien Suin ignored Xiao Wanwan for the time being and turned around to help Wang Haoran up. She pressed a few acupuncture points on his back to help him breathe. At this moment, Xiao Wanwan finally saw Wang Haoran's face and couldn't help but be shocked. Old. Seeing Xiao Wanwan's shocked expression, Wang Haoran briefly met her gaze and shook his head slightly to indicate that he understood. Xiao Wanwan immediately understood and swallowed the word ancestor that was about to come out of her mouth. At the same time, she understood that the person who secretly saved her was the old ancestor. Thinking of this, Xiao Wanwan worshipped him even more. He was clearly in this room, but no one here could see any signs of him saving her. As expected of the old ancestor. Ding! The female lead Xiao Wanwan's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 30, very friendly. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. Obtained 600 villain points. Upon seeing Xiao Wanwan's reaction, Wang Haoran understood that he'd successfully impersonated the poison sect's ancestor. At the side, Bien Suin was worried about Wang Haoran. She didn't notice the subtle interaction between the two. She only asked Wang Haoran with concern. How is it? Do you feel better? Much better. Wang Haoran smiled. Drink some water. Xiao Qianwei poured a glass of water and fed it to Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran's face returned to normal, and he stopped coughing. She pretended to be surprised and glanced at Xiao Wanwan before asking Bien Su. Who is this? The reason he asked this question was to give Xiao Wanwan a more detailed message. We don't know each other, so don't expose my identity as the poison sect's ancestor. She's called Xiao Wanwan. She's a bad woman. If you see her in the future, remember to stay away from her. Bien Suin replied. Hearing their conversation, Xiao Wanwan guessed Wang Haoran's meaning. Naturally, she wouldn't reveal that she knew Wang Haoran. Moreover, in order to prevent Bien Suin from suspecting her, Xiao Wanwan pretended to be sinister and said, You seem to be very worried about him. It seems like the little fairy doctor's heart has been moved. However, he looks like an ordinary person. Bien Suin was furious. He's not from the Celestial Medicine Valley. If your poison sect dares to make a move on him, don't blame me for being immoral. Xiao Wanwan saw Bien Suin's reaction and understood that she didn't suspect that she knew Wang Haoran. She suddenly smiled. I'm just joking. Don't be nervous. I know the rules. Hearing this, Bien Suin let out a sigh of relief. However, she didn't let down her guard. I want to rest for a while. Can you let her go? Wang Haoran said to Bien Suin, but his eyes met Xiao Wanwan. Bien Suin nodded and said to Xiao Wanwan, We'll talk about the battle later. You can go. Don't be too proud. We'll meet again. Xiao Wanwan didn't say anything. After a cold snort, she left. She wasn't afraid of Bien Suin. Instead, it was because the old ancestor's words were hinting for her to leave. Xiao Wanwan didn't know what the old ancestor meant. However, since the old ancestor gave the order, she naturally followed. Following Xiao Wanwan's departure, Bien Suin's tensed nerves relaxed slightly. What poison sect? What Celestial Medicine Valley? We heard your conversation. Why'd it sound so weird? Who exactly is that woman? What grudges do you have? Wang Haoran was puzzled and couldn't help but ask Bien Suin. Bien Su-wen was the female lead. So was Xiao Wanwan. From Wang Howren's point of view, he naturally didn't want the two of them to fight. After all, it wasn't appropriate to help either of them kill the other. If he wanted the two of them to stop fighting, he naturally had to know their grudges. That was why Wang Howren asked. Bien Su-wen replied, "Knowing these things won't do you any good. It's better not to ask." Of course, Wang Howren wouldn't agree. "Just tell me. Who knows, I might be able to help you." Bien Su-wen smiled bitterly and said, "You're not qualified to fight among the secluded sects." She suddenly stopped, as she was worried about her lover's feelings. She changed her tone and said softly, "Don't worry. These things can't be settled with money. I'm already very touched that you have the heart to help me." After saying that, she leaned into his embrace. Wang Howren couldn't show his strength to gain Bien Su-wen's trust. He wanted her to tell him in detail about the grudges between the Poison Sect and Celestial Medicine Valley. After thinking for a while, he decided to use a more manly method. He lowered his head and moved his face closer to hers. Bien Su-wen widened her eyes and closed them carelessly. "Don't be rude to my uncle master." Miracle Dr. Shui wanted to reprimand Wang Howren for his rudeness, but saw that his uncle master had hooked her arms around his neck. He immediately swallowed his words. He looked elsewhere and pretended that he didn't see anything. Qiu Qianwei pursed her lips. Ding. Host made the female lead, Qiu Qianwei, jealous. Reward, 100 villain points. Ding. Host made the female lead, Qiu Qianwei, jealous. Reward, 100 villain points. After a long while, Wang Howren retracted his mouth. He looked at the blushing Bien Su and asked, "Be good and tell me." Bien Su-wen was full of tenderness. After hearing this, she obediently told him everything. After Wang Howren listened, he finally had a comprehensive understanding of the grudges between Bien Su-wen and Xiao Wanwan, or rather, the Poison Sect and Celestial Medicine Valley. After saying everything, Bien Su-wen looked distressed and couldn't help but say, "It's a pity that the Poison Sect's patriarch is still alive. Although I won the battle this time, the Celestial Medicine Valley will still be suppressed by the Poison Sect. In fact, it won't be long before the Poison Sect's patriarch is destroyed. In order to not implicate you and Seventh Sister, I plan to return to the capital tomorrow." Qiu Qianwei was shocked. "Third Sister, we have already discussed this. Why are you leaving suddenly?" Bien Su-wen sighed. The Celestial Medicine Valley didn't restrict the Poison Sect's patriarch. If he acts recklessly, he will break the rules. I have to leave. She had been blinded by love and neglected the crisis. After being disturbed by Xiao Wanwan for a while, she suddenly came to her senses. Regarding this, Wang Howren was naturally unhappy. Bien Su-wen and Qiu Qianwei were so harmonious and had already discussed it. Wang Howren also imagined many happy things because of this. How could he let Bien Su-wen leave? After thinking for a while, Wang Howren said, "In my opinion, this matter might not be as bad as you think." "What do you mean?" Bien Su was puzzled. "The Poison Sect's patriarch is backing them. Your Celestial Medicine Valley also has the old Celestial Doctor protecting them. No one is weaker than the other." Wang Howren started to bluff. "My senior brother passed away long ago. He's no longer in this world." Bien Su said, "The Poison Sect patriarch is already so old, but he's still alive. Why can't the old Celestial Doctor do the same?" Wang Howren analyzed and said reasonably, "Otherwise, how can you explain that the poison in our bodies has been cured? Don't tell me you think that the Poison Sect's patriarch will cure you." Bien Su was speechless. Chapter 261. Bien Su still didn't understand that the poison in the Dark Feather Blood Prison was cured. Wang Howren's explanation was nonsensical, but it was a reasonable explanation if the old fairy doctor was still alive. However, she was right beside the old fairy doctor when she passed away. Miracle Dr. Shui interrupted, "Senior uncle, I think it's possible. You know Master's personality. He might have faked his death to pass the position of Valley Master to you and left to travel the world. He suddenly returned this time and found out that the Poison Sect used a forbidden poison. That's why he couldn't help but help secretly. Wang Haoren secretly gave Miracle Dr. Shui a thumbs up when he saw him inadvertently assist him. Bien Suin was skeptical after hearing Miracle Dr. Shui's words. She started to think. The old fairy doctor had the mentality of an old urchin and often left to travel the world. Sometimes, he would only return to the valley once every 3 to 4 years. This was a common occurrence. It was highly possible that he had faked his death and left the stall behind. After all, it had only been 4 years since the old fairy doctor passed away. However, Bien Suin wouldn't believe it completely before seeing the old fairy doctor with her own eyes. This is only our guess. We don't know the truth yet. Bien Suin sighed. Wang Haoren suggested, we can write a letter to say that we're temporarily stopping the fight with the poison sect and test their reaction. If they agree, it means that the poison sect's old ancestor still has some reservations and the old fairy doctor is still alive. If they don't agree and still want to go against the valley, it means that our guess is wrong. That's a good idea. Bien Suin's eyes lit up as she nodded in agreement. This side is stable. Wang Haoren said to himself after seeing Bien Suin's reaction. Now he just needed to stabilize Xiao Wanwan's side. And to do this, it couldn't be any easier. After all, Xiao Wanwan already treated him as the poison sect's old ancestor. How could she not listen to the old ancestor? However, Wang Haoren still had to make another trip. After Bien Suin made her decision, she immediately wrote a letter and asked Miracle Dr. Shui to send it out. Wang Haoren said that he was fine and wanted to return to school. Bien Suin was still worried, so she took his pulse. After confirming that it was true, she agreed. After Wang Haoren left the hospital, he secretly followed Miracle Dr. Shui. Poison sect base. Xiao Wanwan told Fifth Elder everything that happened at the hospital just now. You're saying that the old ancestor and the fairy doctor are close? The fifth was very shocked when he heard Xiao Wanwan's words. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Moreover, I have a feeling that the ancestor is intentionally protecting Bien Suin. Speaking of this, Xiao Wanwan was very puzzled. Ancestor, what are you thinking? It's fine if you don't deal with the people from Immortal Medicine Valley, but why are you helping Bien Suin? The fifth elder muttered to himself for a moment. His muddy old eyes revealed a thoughtful light. After a long time, his wrinkled face revealed an expression of ecstasy. Is really brilliant. Fifth Elder, what are you talking about? Xiao Wanwan asked curiously when she saw her shocked expression. The Poison Sect and the Fairy Doctor Valley have been enemies ever since they were established. Since then, the old ancestor hates the Fairy Doctor Valley. Why would he help the Fairy Doctor? The fifth elder's face showed that she had seen through everything and continued. The old ancestor is getting close to the Fairy Doctor to take revenge on the Fairy Doctor Valley. Xiao Wanwan questioned, with the old ancestor's methods, it's easy to deal with the Fairy Doctor Valley. Why is it so troublesome? The fifth elder's eyes flashed with wisdom and said, that's why I said you're still too young. The old ancestor is wise to do this. Think about it. If the Fairy Doctor gets pregnant, wouldn't she become the biggest laughingstock of the hidden sects? If the old Fairy Doctor of the Fairy Doctor Valley was still alive, she would be angered to death. Isn't it satisfying to take revenge like this? Hearing the fifth elder's words, Xiao Wanwan was enlightened. She couldn't help but praise, as expected of the old ancestor. This revenge method is too brilliant. It's much better than destroying the Fairy Doctor Valley directly. After sighing in admiration, she revealed a fearful expression. Bien Suin's poison must have been cured by the old ancestor secretly. I almost ruined the old ancestor's plan by fighting with Bien Suin. I don't know how the old ancestor will punish me. You're on your own now. The fifth elder helplessly spread out his hands. At this moment, a lackey of the poison sect came to report, Saintus, fifth elder, the people from the Fairy Doctor Valley are here. Who is it? What's the matter? The fifth elder asked. The person said his surname is Shui. He said he's here to deliver a letter. The lackey of the poison sect reported. There weren't many people in the Fairy Doctor Valley. Hearing the word Shui, the fifth elder and Bien Suin immediately understood that it was Miracle Dr. Shui, who was known as the enemy of the King of Hell. Bring him in. The fifth elder ordered. The lackey retreated and quickly brought miracle Dr. Shui in front of the fifth elder and Xiao Wanwan. This is the letter from our valley master. Please take a look. Although they were in the territory of the poison sect, miracle Dr. Shui was neither servile nor overbearing. Xiao Wanwan took the letter from miracle Dr. Shui and read it together with the fifth elder. The general content of the letter was that the fight had ended in a draw. In the next 20 years, the poison sect and the fairy doctor valley would temporarily live in peace and recuperate. All the grudges would be settled after 20 years. After reading the contents of a letter, Xiao Wanwan and the fifth elder looked at each other and secretly exchanged a look of joy. This letter must have been written by the old ancestor who persuaded the fairy doctor, Bien Suen. The old ancestor's meaning was obvious. The old ancestor had a brilliant revenge method. The poison sect shouldn't attack the people from the fairy doctor valley for the time being. Don't complicate the old ancestor's plan. After understanding the real intention of the letter, Xiao Wanwan replied as the saintess and agreed to Bien Suen's suggestion. Seeing this, miracle Dr. Shui was delighted and quickly replied to Bien Suen with the letter. My guess was correct, right? After miracle Dr. Shui left, the fifth elder asked Xiao Wanwan proudly. The fifth elder's eyes are like torches. As expected, he's sharp. Xiao Wanwan wanted to praise him generously, but before she could finish, she saw another person appear in the room. However, this person was wearing a mask, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. However, Xiao Wanwan recognized the other party's figure and hurriedly knelt down. She said respectfully, "Greetings to the old ancestor." The fifth elder jumped in fright and knelt down as well. Greetings to the old ancestor. Wang Haoran naturally had his reasons for wearing a mask. Xiao Wanwan was young and probably hadn't even seen the poison sect's old ancestor's face before. It wasn't a problem for her to meet him face to face, and she wouldn't be able to recognize him. However, Wang Haoran wasn't sure if the fifth elder, who had more seniority in the poison sect, would recognize the poison sect's old ancestor. Hence, he was cautious. Chapter 262. Rise. Wang Haoran calmly ordered as he looked at the two people kneeling on the ground. Xiao Wanwan and fifth elder were intimidated by his aura and didn't dare to stand up. They remained kneeling on the ground. Wang Haoran wasn't surprised by this. The poison sect's patriarch was obviously a deranged fellow, so his subordinates were naturally in awe of him. Moreover, Wang Haoran himself had a very high villain halo, so he had a suppressive effect on fifth elder and Xiao Wanwan. He could easily make them submit to him. This subordinate nearly ruined your plans, venerable ancestor. Please punish me, venerable ancestor, Xiao Wanwan said in a trembling voice. Fifth elder was in charge of the poison sect's punishments. When he heard this, he reflexively said, according to the poison sect's punishments, Wanwan has committed a serious crime. She should be stripped of her position as holy maiden and thrown into the myriad poison cave to suffer the pain of being bitten by 10,000 snakes for 7 days and 7 nights. Venerable ancestor, please spare me. Venerable ancestor, please spare me. Xiao Wanwan repeatedly begged for mercy. Wang Haoran inwardly clicked his tongue. If he threw Xiao Wanwan into the myriad poison cave, even if she was lucky enough to survive, she wouldn't look human, right? As expected of a villain faction. How ruthless. Forget it. In consideration of your ignorance, this seat won't punish you, Wang Haoran said magnanimously. No matter what, Xiao Wanwan was the female lead and was bewitchingly beautiful. Wouldn't it be a pity if she was disfigured? Thank you for your mercy, venerable ancestor. Xiao Wanwan wiped the cold sweat from her forehead and respectfully kowtowed again and again. She couldn't help but tilt her head to glare at fifth elder. Fifth elder shot her an apologetic look. She had a good relationship with Xiao Wanwan and had no intention of harming her. Just now, she blurted out without thinking because she had been in charge of punishments for many years. Wang Haoran said, this seat will handle the grudge between the poison sect and Immortal Medicine Valley. Don't interfere. Xiao Wanwan reported, venerable ancestor, This subordinate has already replied to the little fairy doctor, Bien-Suen. She agrees to stop the fight. That's for the best. Wang Hao nodded. Old ancestors' methods are brilliant. This subordinate admires you for thinking of such a brilliant method to take revenge on the immortal Medicine Valley. The fifth elder flattered. Hearing the fifth elder's words, Wang Haoren was slightly stunned. He had followed Miracle Dr. Shui here, so he was unaware of the conversation between Xiao Wanwan and the fifth elder. How are my methods brilliant? Wang Haoren was curious, so he asked indirectly. Old ancestor, you've gotten close to the little fairy doctor and won her love. Not long after, you'll probably be able to get her pregnant. At that time, the immortal Medicine Valley will become the laughing stock of the hidden sections. Only you, old ancestor, can think of such a brilliant revenge method. The fifth elder continued to flatter. Hearing this, Wang Haoren didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The fifth elder's imagination was really amazing. He could actually imagine all these strange things in his mind. However, the fifth elder's idea did sound very exciting. After the strange thoughts flashed through his mind, Wang Haoren said lightly, I don't need you to interfere in dealing with the immortal Medicine Valley. However, I might need your help in some other miscellaneous matters. The reason why he came here personally was partly to stabilize the poison sect so that they wouldn't act recklessly. The most important reason was that he wanted to subdue them so that they could serve him. After all, the poison sect wasn't a weak force. He could order them to deal with some of the main characters. This could save Wang Haoren a lot of trouble. Old ancestor, if you have any orders, even if it's to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of fire, we won't even frown. Xiao Wanwan and the fifth elder kowtowed and said in unison. Wang Haoren was very satisfied with this attitude, as expected of a villain force. This corporate culture was quite good. They were really obedient. In order to create the image of the old ancestor, Wang Haoren didn't reply and left silently. After all, experts were elusive in their whereabouts. After Xiao Wanwan and the fifth elder finished speaking respectfully, they lifted their heads, wanting to see the old ancestor's heavenly might. However, they discovered that the old ancestor was nowhere to be seen. The two of them looked at each other in shock and exclaimed, coming and going without a trace, the old ancestor is really strong. At the hospital, Miracle Dr. Shui left the poison sex encampment and handed the letter to Bien-Suen. After Bien-Suen saw it, her worried heart finally calmed down. The poison sect had agreed to stop fighting. It looked like the old immortal doctor was still alive and had secretly contacted the poison sect's old ancestor. Otherwise, the poison sect wouldn't have agreed to this so easily. Miracle Dr. Shui suddenly said, Senior uncle, now that the matter is settled, shouldn't we return to the capital? He was already a little traumatized by Qingling. Naturally, he wanted to leave. Third sister, are you leaving this place? Before Bien-Suen could reply, Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, Lu Yu, and Lin Chen all walked over. Lin Chen exclaimed in shock. If it was a few days ago, Bien-Suen would have returned to the capital immediately after saving Miracle Dr. Shui. However, things were different now. She only wanted to stay by the side of the person she loved. She wouldn't leave no matter what. However, Bien-Suen obviously wouldn't reveal her true thoughts. She only said, I'm in the capital most of the time and don't have much time to meet with you guys. Since I'm here this time, I have to stay for a while. That's great. Lin Chun was elated. He continued to complain. Third sister, when you fainted that day, Wang Haoren hugged you and took advantage of you on purpose. Bien-Suen replied calmly, You can't just look at the surface. I believe that he didn't take advantage of me on purpose. You're not allowed to slander him. Lin Chun was stunned. He said anxiously, Third sister, this guy isn't a good person. You can't think that he's a good person just because he gave you a Bugatti. Bien-Suen pulled a long face. Little Chun, it's very polite of you to talk behind someone's back. If you continue, I'm going to get angry. Qiu Qianwei lifted her slender fingers and knocked on Lin Chen's head. She said sternly, You're not allowed to talk behind someone's back. Ji Shuiyao stared at Lin Chun. From a societal perspective, this is something only a gossipy woman would do. Little Chun, you shouldn't do this. Lu Yu didn't reprimand him. Instead, she became the peacemaker. Little Chun, you, and Wang Haoran are classmates. Classmates should get along well. Lin Chun looked at his sisters. Almost all of them were helping Wang Haoran. He was stunned. Sister 7, Sister 6, and Sister 5 were on Wang Haoran's side. Lin Chun knew this. However, third sister had only been here for a short while. Why was she helping Wang Haoran? How preposterous! Ding! Host caused Lin Chun to lose his balance. Received 1,000 villain points. Lin Chun's protagonist aura -50. Host's villain aura +50. Wang Haoran. Lin Chun was so angry that his lungs hurt. After a while, he calmed down a little. Seventh sister, sixth sister, fifth sister, and third sister. It's fine if you don't help me. I still have fourth sister, second sister, and eldest sister to help me. Lin Chun regained his spirit. He went to a secluded place and took out his phone to contact fourth sister. Second sister and eldest sister had high statuses. They wouldn't do anything to a small character like Wang Haoran. Therefore, Lin Chun decided to let fourth sister help him. Fourth sister was an international assassin. Teaching a small character like Wang Haoran a lesson would be a piece of cake. Chapter 263. Qingling Campus. A mother and son were asking the passers-by if they knew someone named Song Jinyu. However, after asking 5 or 6 people, they received the same answer. No. This is so annoying. I'm tired. I'm not walking anymore. The son complained as he sat down on a chair by the side of the path. The mother was also very impatient. She gritted her teeth and said, "Even if it's annoying, we still have to continue looking. Your sister is such a selfish person. She actually quit her job that costs more than 8,000 yuan and came here to take the postgraduate entrance exam. She clearly wants to cut off the family source of income. We have to find her quickly and make her go back to work." The son said angrily, "I'm really unlucky. Why do I have such a sister? She would take the postgraduate entrance exam for no reason, for her own sake. It's so time-consuming and expensive. If it were someone else's sister, she would definitely try her best to earn money for her brother's betrothal gift." These two people were Song Jinyu's mother and brother. The mother was called Tan Zhen, and the brother was called Song Feiyu. Hearing her son's words, Tan Zhen comforted him and said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. We've spent 20 to 30,000 yuan on hotel accommodation and food. The hotel is already rushing us, and we don't have the money to pay. We have to find your sister as soon as possible. Otherwise, the hotel might call for people to arrest us." Yes, yes. Song Feiyu immediately came to his senses. At the same time, he complained, "Mom, if you find my sister, you have to teach her a lesson. We came all the way here to find her and suffered a lot. Don't worry. When I find her, I'll definitely give this ingrate 2 big slaps." Tan Zhen's face was harsh. How can there be such a B** star in this world? She's not even willing to pay for her brother's betrothal gift. She actually canceled her number and made it impossible for us to contact her. It's simply unreasonable. Song Feiyu said, "Mom, I think that 500,000 yuan is too little. I think 800,000 is more appropriate. After all, the house is too small and uncomfortable. 800,000 is just right. We could buy a bigger house with that." Tan Zhen nodded. "That's right. She's your sister. It's only right for her to pay any amount of betrothal gift. 800,000 then." The mother and son sat on the chair and talked for a while. Then, they continued to ask people about Song Jinyu. At this moment, Su Muyin happened to pass by. Tan Zhen asked, "Beauty, may I ask if you know someone called Song Jinyu?" Su Muyin stopped and looked at the mother and son. Instead of answering the question, she asked, "Who are you?" She wasn't a brainless woman. Without knowing the other party's identity, she wouldn't reveal Song Laosher's information. "I'm Song Jinyu's mother, and this is her younger brother," Tan Zhen explained. "Then do you have anything to prove it?" Su Muyin asked. Yes, yes. Tan Zhen nodded and took out a family photo. She pointed at a slightly young girl in the photo. Su Muyin took a closer look and recognized that it was the younger version of Song Jinyu. Only then did he believe their identities. However, she still had some doubts, so she asked, "Since you're Song Jinyu's family, You should have her contact information. Why are you still asking around? Tianjun didn't tell the truth. Instead, she said, it's like this. The number my daughter used previously has become invalid. We can't contact her for the time being. That's why we came to look for her. As the saying went, don't wash your dirty linen in public. In order to not give her younger brother a betrothal gift, her daughter actually canceled her number so that her family couldn't contact her. Of course, Tianjin wouldn't casually tell others about this. Wait a moment. Su Muyan walked to the side and dialed Song Jinyu's number. During the last gathering, Song Jinyu had exchanged numbers with Wang Haoran and the others. Su Muyan had Song Jinyu's number. Miss Song, I met 2 people in school asking about you. I heard that they were your mother and younger brother, Su Muyan said to Song Jinyu after the call went through. They found this place? Song Jinyu's voice carried emotion. She was clearly more nervous than pleasantly surprised. Su Muyan was a meticulous person. She could feel part of Song Jinyu's emotions, so she said, Miss Song, do you want to see them? If you don't, I won't tell them about you. Song Jinyu was silent for a few seconds before she replied, Mayan, I'll have to trouble you to let them listen to the phone. Let me talk to them. All right then. Song Jinyu nodded. She then walked to Tianjun's side and handed her phone. Tianjun stared blankly for a moment before she took the phone. Mom, Song Jinyu called out in a complicated tone. Hearing the voice on the phone, Tianjun naturally knew that it was her daughter. She snorted coldly. You still have the nerve to call me Mom? Song Jinyu said, Mom, I was angry some time ago, so I canceled my number. Don't be angry. Tianjun said sarcastically, You've made a name for yourself in the big city. You've grown up and your wings have hardened. How could I dare to be angry with you? Song Jinyu said, Mom, it's almost time for dinner. You and brother wait for me at the seafood restaurant near the Qingling campus. I'll come find you when I'm done here. Tianjin said, I saw that seafood restaurant when I passed by just now. It's average. Let's go to the Shengting Hotel. You know where the Shengting Hotel is, right? Song Jinyu said, I know the Shengting Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel. Your daughter isn't rich and can't afford that kind of place. Let's go to the seafood restaurant. The seafood there is very good and the cost is not low. Tianjin insisted, I don't care. Let's go to the Shengting Hotel. She and Song Feiyu still owed 20 to 30,000 yuan at the Shengting Hotel. Of course, she had to drag Song Jinyu there. Otherwise, who would pay the debt? Song Feiyu suddenly leaned over the phone and interrupted, Sister, Mom and I have come to find you in person. If you don't treat us to a hotel, how can that be justified? Then, okay, let's stay at the Shengting Hotel, Song Jinyu agreed helplessly. She did not have much money on her, but she still had her credit card. For the time being, she could only use it to pay off the debt. Then it's settled. After Tianjun finished speaking, she was afraid that Song Jinyu would change her mind, so she hung up the phone. She returned the phone to Su Muyan. Su Muyan took the phone and frowned as she sized up Tianjun and Song Feiyu again. She had heard the conversation just now. This mother and son were indeed Teacher Song's relatives, but their words were really infuriating. However, Su Muyan was ultimately an outsider, so she could not criticize them. Without saying a word, he left with a muffled sound. After leaving Tianjun and Song Feiyu's sight, Su Muyan felt that it was unfair for Song Jinyu. Hence, she called Wang Haoran and told Wang Haoran about what she had encountered. Chapter 264. After Wang Haoran left the poison sex encampment, he contacted Yang Jingwan and prepared to meet up with her. But after receiving Su Muyan's call, he gave up on the idea and decided to meet up with Yang Jingwan later. Based on Su Muyan's description, Song Jinyu was a little like the female lead who helped her younger brother. There were 2 types of female leads who helped her younger brother. One was the proactive type. In their minds, helping their younger brother or family was perfectly fair and just, to put it bluntly, there was something wrong with their brains. Just looking at this kind of proactive female protagonist who supported her younger brother and acted like a witch was infuriating. When Wang Haoran read such female leads in the past, he'd immediately abandon the book and curse the author for being an idiot. The other type was the passive type of female lead who helped her younger brother. This type of female lead was very kind and valued her family, so she was held hostage by them. Thus, when faced with demands from her family or younger brother, she would choose to suffer and passively accept certain things. Wang Haoran had also interacted with Song Jinyu for a while now. Song Jinyu was kind, but not stupid. Moreover, Song Jinyu had previously canceled her phone number. Presumably, it was to avoid her family's demands. From this, it was clear that Song Jinyu was the passive type of female lead who helped her younger brother. There was still hope for her. They said they were eating at the Holy Court Hotel, right? I'll go take a look in a bit. I won't let Teacher Song get bullied, Wang Haoran replied to Su Muyin. Teacher Song's mother and younger brother look very hateful. When you teach them a lesson, remember to count me in, Su Muyin said indignantly. All right, Wang Haoran nodded. After indignantly discussing the matter of Teacher Song's mother and little brother, Su Muyin's mood calmed down a little. She suddenly asked in a sweet voice, "Are you free later?" I'm a little tired today. I want to rest well. Wang Haoran still had an appointment with Yang Jingwan, so he could only say this to avoid running into trouble. Oh, okay then. Su Muyin was disappointed for a moment, but she quickly adjusted her mood. Then I'll go back to the dorm to play games. I've heard you say that you've played games a few times. What game are you playing? Wang Haoran asked curiously. Su Muyin said proudly, "Playing Glory. Let me tell you, I'm really good. I have 50 stars of King of Glory." He even started a live stream on Douyin, and he already has more than 2 million fans. Really? So powerful. Wang Haoran was surprised. Su Muyin said sweetly, "Of course. Do you want to play together? I'll play support to protect you." I've never played this before. I'm a noob. Let me practice on my own first. Wang Haoran tactfully refused. Playing games? Wasn't this nonsense? Not only did he have to deal with the main character, but he also had to deal with the female lead. Where would he find the time to play games? Moreover, even if he had time, he wouldn't play games. Wasn't it better to do something more enjoyable than playing games? Su Muyin took it seriously, so she said, "Okay then, let me know when you're done." Wang Haoran said, "Send me your ID later. I'll support you when I'm free. I'll give you a wave of tips to boost your popularity." Su Muyin joked, "Okay, thank you, boss." After ending his chat with Su Muyin, Wang Haoran gave Yang Jingwan a call and told her that he would look for her later. Yang Jingwan hadn't seen Wang Haoran for a long time, and she missed him a lot. She said that she would come to Qingling University to save Wang Haoran some time. Wang Haoran naturally agreed when he heard that. Yang Jingwan used to study at Qingling University, and she was recognized as the campus belle. She could be considered as Wang Haoran's senior. She was very familiar with Qingling University's environment. Wang Haoran wasn't worried that she would get lost. After that, Wang Haoran flagged down a car by the roadside and prepared to go to Shengting Hotel. The Bugatti Veyron was with Chang Rue, so he could take it back anytime. However, in order to prevent Bian Suan and Lin Shun from suspecting that he was in cahoots with Chang Rue, Wang Haoran didn't plan to take the Bugatti back yet. Tang Bingyun's McLaren P1 was posted on Weibo to create the image of the peerless god of stocks. In order not to be exposed in front of Lu Yu, Wang Haoran didn't plan to drive the car around in front of others. Therefore, Wang Haoran didn't have a decent car to drive, so he could only choose to call taxi. It was rush hour, so it wasn't easy to flag down taxi. After class, Song Jinyu rushed out of school and prepared to ride a shared scooter to Shingting Hotel. Just as she unlocked the scooter with her phone, she bumped into Yi Qiu, who was passing by. Yi Qiu smiled and asked, "Miss Song, what a coincidence. Where are you going?" Song Jinyu frowned and said cautiously, "I'm not going anywhere." Then, she opened the app on her phone and locked the scooter. Yi Qiu walked toward Song Jinyu and said earnestly, "Miss Song, I'm really not a bad person. I don't mean any harm." Song Jinyu took a few steps back and kept a distance from Yi Qiu. "Don't come over, or I'll call the police." Hearing that, Yi Qiu immediately stopped her. No, I'll leave now. I'll leave now." Because of the assault incident, he was tied up in a lawsuit. When he heard that Song Jinyu was going to call the police, he naturally didn't dare to say anything more. He didn't want to be accused of harassing a woman again. After saying that, Yi Qiu slowly walked away. However, as he left, he kept looking back at Song Jinyu with envy. Song Jinyu waited for a while. When she saw that Ichio had completely disappeared from her sight, she unlocked the scooter again and set off. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing Ichio to be tied up in a lawsuit and making the female lead, Song Jinyu, feel disgusted with him. As a result, the plot was affected. Obtained 800 villain points. Ichio's protagonist aura a -40. Host villain aura +40. Wang Haoren. Song Jinyu rode the scooter to Shengting Hotel. In a luxurious room, she saw Tanjun and Song Feiyu. "Mom, brother," Song Jinyu called out. Tanjun didn't say anything. She immediately rushed over and swung her arm in a circle, aiming to slap Song Jinyu's snow-white face. In a hurry, Song Jinyu blocked with her arm out of habit and didn't let Tanjun hit her face. However, her arm took a solid hit. Because the weather was hot, Song Jinyu was wearing a t-shirt that exposed her arm. After being hit by Tanjun's full force, a red palm print immediately appeared on her arm. Song Jinyu was in pain from the slap. However, because the other party was her mother, she could only endure it. Tanjun's palm was shaken, and she also felt a little pain. Hence, she gritted her teeth and said, "You ingrate! How dare you block it?" As she spoke, Tanjun walked closer to Song Jinyu, wanting to continue hitting her. However, Song Jinyu protected her face with all her might. However, her arm was red from the slap. Song Jinyu's eyes were red from the pain, but she endured it. Tanjun finally stopped when she ran out of strength. Song Jinyu said aggrievedly, "Mom, haven't you hit me enough since we were young? I'm already so old, yet you still hit me?" Tanjun pursed her lips and said matter-of-factly, "No matter how old you are, I'm still your mother. It's only right for a mother to hit her daughter. Moreover, you made a mistake. It's only right for me to hit you." Song Jinyu retorted resentfully, "I know I canceled the wrong number. But what about my brother? He's made a lot of mistakes since he was young. However, you've never even said a harsh word to him, let alone hit him." Chapter 265. Tanjun snorted when she heard Song Jinyu comparing her younger brother, Song Feiyu. "Your younger brother is still young. As his elder sister, you're actually comparing him to you. How is this how an elder sister should behave?" Song Jinyu glanced at Song Feiyu, who was focused on playing games on his phone. "He's already 22 years old now. In your eyes, you've probably always treated him like a 3-year-old child. You can't scold or hit him. What about me? When I was 3 years old, I was treated like a 20-year-old. You made me wash the dishes and do all kinds of chores. You hit me whenever you didn't like it." Tanjun retorted, "Aren't I doing this for your own good? I'm letting you develop good habits from a young age. Otherwise, would you have been able to become independent so early? Would you have been so successful?" When she heard the word independent, Song Jinyu said sadly, "Letting a child be independent? This is really a high-sounding excuse. But go and ask other families. Do any parents let their children walk half an hour to and from school on their own from preschool?" Tanjun said angrily, "Weren't you busy with work back then? If your father and I didn't earn money, how were we going to raise you? Were we going to starve?" Song Jinyu said, "But back then, I didn't see you working. You gathered with the villagers every day, playing cards and chatting. You were very free every day. I'll beat you to death." Tanjun was so angry that she wanted to swing her arm and hit Song Jinyu a few more times. This time, Song Jinyu didn't use her arm to block it. She just stood there. However, just as Tanjun was about to hit her, Song Feiyu said irritably, "Can you all be quiet? You're so annoying. You're disturbing me when I'm playing the game. This is the key to reaching gold." Hearing this, Tanjun put down her hand and put away her bad attitude towards Song Jinyu. She became like a loving mother. Okay. Mom will be quiet. Focus on playing. Do your best to reach gold." After saying this to Song Feiyu, she looked at her daughter. "You should be quiet too. Don't talk. Don't disturb your brother when he's playing games. Your brother is a gaming genius. I read the news online that those game streamers earn millions or even tens of millions every year. When he reaches gold, he should be able to stream. He will definitely make a lot of money then." Song Jinyu had long gotten used to this difference in attitude. Most of the time, she suspected that she was picked up from the streets. Otherwise, why would her parents treat Song Feiyu like a young master and treat her like a master treating a servant in ancient times? After a few minutes of silence, Song Feiyu suddenly threw his phone to the ground. He was so angry that he pointed at Tan Jun and Song Jinyu. It's all your fault. You're so noisy and annoying. I failed to advance to gold. Tan Jun was also furious, but she naturally wouldn't vent her anger on Song Feiyu. Instead, she pointed at Song Jinyu and said, "It's all your fault. If I saw you, I wouldn't have gotten angry and argued with you. Now that your brother has lost the game, are you satisfied? If you hadn't been so noisy with your brother's superb gaming talent, he would have definitely won." Being criticized like this, Song Jinyu was stunned. Was it that difficult to advance to gold? How could this gaming talent be called super strong? As far as she knew, Song Feiyu had been playing pesticide for at least 3 years. It was so difficult to advance to gold after playing for 3 years. His talent was hard to explain. When Song Jinyu used to teach, she played 100 rounds in her spare time and easily reached diamond. Moreover, this level was very, very ordinary. In terms of gaming talent, it had to be someone like Su Muyin. This was because when she was chatting with Su Muyin, she heard from her that she had only played pesticide recently. After playing 100 rounds, she reached King of Kings. After playing 200 rounds, she reached King of Kings with 50 stars. However, her mother, Tan Jun, was a village woman. She was good at playing card and arguing, but she didn't know the various levels of pesticide. Song Feiyu probably made up some nonsense in front of her, and Tan Jun directly thought that Song Feiyu was a gaming genius. In order to play the game openly, Song Feiyu even made false claims that he could earn millions or even tens of millions from live streaming. Song Jinyu couldn't be bothered to criticize this brother of hers, so she didn't expose him. She only advised Song Feiyu, "You're not young anymore. It's time to grow up. Don't always think about playing games. Do something serious." Hearing that, Song Feiyu felt guilty and kept quiet. He could lie to his mother, Tan Jun, but he definitely wouldn't lie to his sister, Song Jinyu. When Tan Jun heard Song Jinyu's words, she defended her son. "Your brother playing games is serious. In the future, he can earn money from live streaming. He's much more useful than you." Song Jinyu couldn't be bothered to refute. She said self-deprecatingly, "Yes, yes, yes. I'm the most useless. My brother is more useful than me. It's good that you know." Tan Jun snorted proudly. She didn't want to talk about anything else and went straight to the point. "Have you prepared the betrothal gift? Go to the bank and transfer the money to your brother so that he can get married." Song Jinyu said unhappily, "I already said on the phone that I won't pay 300,000 yuan. Song Feiyu said casually, "It's not 300,000 yuan, it's 800,000 yuan. 800,000 yuan? Song Jinyu's eyes widened in shock. Tan Jun said calmly, "We thought about it. As a sister, 300,000 yuan is too little. 800,000 yuan is more appropriate. This way, you could buy a bigger house and your brother and sister-in-law can live more comfortably." Song Jinyu was speechless for a while. Then she said, "Whether it's 300,000 or 800,000, I don't even have 30,000 yuan. You think too highly of me." Tan Jun questioned, "You can't even afford 30,000 yuan? Are you kidding? You've been working for several years. How can you not have that much money?" At the mention of this, Song Jinyu got angry. She said, "When I was a teacher in a private high school, I only got 8,000 yuan a month. When I was a little more than that, it was only about 10,000 yuan. Every time I received my salary, I had to transfer 3,000 yuan to my brother and 5,000 yuan to you. Also, during the holidays, I had to give you at least 500 yuan in red packets. Also, I was the one who paid for the replacement of your phones after using them for less than a year. While I buy clothes, I always buy the cheapest ones. When I look for a house, I also look for the cheapest one. The cell phones I use are all obsolete ones. During the holidays, I don't even dare to go out and relax. I stay at home because it costs money. I've been in Qingling for so many years, and I've never made any friends. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't dare to. I'm afraid that if my friends suddenly ask me to treat them to a meal, I won't be able to afford it. Usually, when I have a cold or a fever, I have to bear it by myself. I don't even dare to go to the hospital. If you think about it carefully, I've never had more than 10,000 yuan in my card since I started working. How did I save up so much money for the betrothal gifts? But I'm sure you didn't even think about it, because you only know how to ask for money. You don't care about me at all. In your eyes, I'm not your daughter or sister. I'm just a tool to provide you with money. The resentment that Song Jinyu had hidden in her heart for a long time was completely vented with each sentence. Her emotions became more and more agitated, and tears continuously flowed from her eyes. By the end of her speech, both sides of her face were wet with tears. Chapter 266. Tan Zhen and Song Feiyu looked at Song Jinyu's tear-filled face and were stunned. Guilt flashed through their hearts. However, this emotion was only fleeting. Tan Zhen said, I know it's not easy for you, but as a sister, you can't possibly not give him a betrothal gift when your brother is getting married. That's not right. Have I not given enough money? I've only been working for half a year, and he asked me to buy a car for 200,000 yuan, but I still gave it to him. But do you know how I gave it to him? I borrowed money from someone, and it took me more than a year to pay it off, Song Jinyu continued. Song Jinyu continued. After buying the car, he still asked me for 3,000 yuan a month for living expenses, and I still gave it to him. Isn't that enough? Tan Zhen said, buying a car is buying a car, and betrothal gifts are betrothal gifts. These are two different things. Besides, he doesn't have a job. As his sister, it's only right for you to give him some living expenses. Song Feiyu complained, I only asked for a 200,000 yuan domestic car, and you still have so many complaints. There's also an older sister in our village who gave her brother an Audi A6 and even bought him a house in a big city. We're both sisters, but the difference is too big. Tan Zhen added, that's right. She hasn't even gone to college. What about you? You're not as successful as her even if you go to college. Song Jinyu knew the woman that Song Feiyu was talking about. She was a girl in her early 20s who found an old man in his 60s and became a rich woman. Of course, she was rich. How could Song Jinyu be envious of her success? Through this method, Song Jinyu wiped away the tears on her face and said coldly, no matter what you say, I don't have the betrothal gift money, and I can't afford it. Song Feiyu immediately panicked and couldn't help but tug at her mother's sleeve. Tan Zhen thought for a moment and said, didn't you borrow 200,000 yuan when you bought your brother a car? Go and borrow some more money to make up for the 800,000 yuan betrothal gift. Song Jinyu became angry at the mention of borrowing 200,000 yuan. I have to thank you for this. It's because of that 200,000 yuan that I don't even have a friend now. Song Feiyu had an idea and said, sister, you're so pretty. There must be a lot of guys chasing you. You should have a boyfriend, right? Just ask your boyfriend to give it to you. Song Jinyu said, I feel really honored to have a family like you. I don't want to harm others, so how would I dare to find a boyfriend? Tan Zhen said angrily, listen to what you're saying. Are you even human? I'm just asking you to give your younger brother a betrothal gift. You're making it sound like I'm asking for your life. It's my bad luck to have such a sister. Song Feiyu sighed. At this moment, a hotel staff member came to the half-open door and knocked on it. Mr. Song, Ms. Tan, it's time. Please settle your accounts first. Otherwise, we'll have to resort to legal means. Tan Zhen did not panic at all. She pointed at Song Jinyu and said, my daughter is here. She will pay the bill. Song Jinyu had a bad feeling about this, but she still asked the waiter, excuse me, how much do my mother and brother owe? The hotel staff smiled and replied, the total is 31205. He then passed the bill to Song Jinyu. Song Jinyu glanced at it and was shocked. Why did the two of you book 2 luxurious double rooms? Song Feiyu asked in return, what's wrong with the two of us booking 2 rooms? Song Jinyu said, it's fine to book 2 rooms, but why did you book a double room instead of a single room? A double room is more spacious. Okay, you like spacious rooms, but there are normal rooms and premium rooms to choose from. Why did you choose a luxurious room? Do you think I have too much money? Sister, I know it's not easy for you to earn money, so I'm trying to accommodate you. Otherwise, I would have chosen a luxurious room or even a presidential room. Then what about ordering food? The two of you ordered 6 dishes for a meal? 1 dizzy spell, 1 vegetarian dish, and 1 soup. This is the standard for a single person. What's wrong with ordering 6 dishes for 2 people? Since you think it's right, you can pay the bill yourself. Song Jinyu said angrily. Song Feiyu said, only give me 3,000 yuan every month. I don't even have enough money to spend. How can I pay the bill? Song Jinyu said, since you don't have money, why are you still so extravagant and staying in such a good hotel? Song Feiyu said matter-of-factly, don't I have you, sister? Song Jinyu was so angry that she felt dizzy. I don't care about you anymore. You can settle it with Mom. If it was more than 10,000 yuan, she would have gritted her teeth and paid with her credit card. However, 30,000 yuan was more than the credit card limit. No matter what, she had to fork out the money. Song Feiyu complained, sister, didn't you hear? If we don't pay the bill, they'll use legal means to settle it. Are you going to watch us get arrested? You're too heartless. Tanjun sat on the ground and pretended to wail and make a scene. There's no justice in this world. The daughter I raised for more than 20 years is actually abandoning her mother. How can there be such a heartless daughter in this world? Look, everyone, come take a look. Tanjun's loud voice was honed from quarreling with people in the countryside. It was loud and sharp. Her shouting attracted many passers-by to gather outside the door. These people did not know what was going on and did not say anything. They just watched the commotion. Wang Howren heard the news from the front desk and came over. He pushed through the crowd and walked into the room. He saw tear stains on Song Jinyu's face. It was obvious that she had been wronged. It made his heart ache. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Wang Howren walked over to the aggrieved Song Jinyu. He rubbed her shoulder and comforted her. Song Jinyu was stunned and stared blankly at Wang Howren. Ding! The female lead Song Jinyu's favorability towards the host has increased by 5. Current favorability is 45, very friendly. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. Obtained 200 villain points. Song Jinyu felt a warm sensation from the palm on her shoulder. She couldn't help but feel warm in her heart. Why are you here? Wang Howren explained. Mayan called me and told me. I was afraid that you would be bullied, so I rushed over to take a look. However, there was a traffic jam on the road, so I was delayed until now. You my sister's boyfriend, right? Song Feiyu saw that Wang Howren and Song Jinyu seemed to be quite close, so he asked. Song Jinyu wanted to deny it, but Wang Howren said first, yes, so what do you want to say? My sister lied to me that she didn't have a boyfriend, so she was lying. Song Feiyu was pleasantly surprised. He then sized up Wang Howren and felt that he had a noble temperament. At first glance, he could tell that he was a young master from a rich family. Thus, he revealed a smile and directly shouted shamelessly, hello, brother-in-law. Chapter 267. Don't call him that. He's not your brother-in-law. Hearing Song Feiyu's shameless words, Song Jinyu felt embarrassed, so she corrected him. Song Feiyu said to his sister, he's my boyfriend now, but he'll be my brother-in-law in the future. It's all the same. After that, he looked at Wang Howren with a big smile. He raised his hand slightly and made a gesture of counting money. Wang Howren understood and was shocked by his Song Feiyu's shamelessness. However, he still said calmly, you want a gift, right? I came in a hurry and didn't bring it. I won't. I'll definitely have it, and you'll definitely be satisfied. He smiled meaningfully. Song Feiyu, of course, did not understand the meaning behind it. He only thought that Wang Howren was serious and could not help but look forward to it. At the side, Tanjun reminded, the gift is secondary. The main thing is the betrothal gift. Song Feiyu quickly said, yes, brother-in-law. I have a girlfriend and we're getting married soon. However, we lack a house. Although my sister doesn't have money, brother-in-law, you definitely have money. What do you think? Howren? Song Jinyu wanted to say something, but Wang Howren raised his hand and stopped him. Wang Howren asked Song Feiyu, how much do you think is suitable? 80. Song Feiyu thought for a while and suddenly changed his words. At least 8 million. Brother-in-law, with your temperament, you can't afford anything less than that, right? Wang Howren said. Are you sure it's 8 million? Yes, 8 million. Song Feiyu was about to give a definite reply. Wait, Tanjun interrupted. Feiyu doesn't know any better. With your temperament, 8 million is too cheap. Why don't we round it up and make it 10 million? Yes, 10 million. A round number sounds better. Song Feiyu agreed loudly. The shamelessness of this mother and son pair was shocking. The onlookers at the door were also shocked and started discussing. Oh my God, what kind of person is this? Is he crazy? He's still her boyfriend, and he's already asking for 10 million as a betrothal gift. I've lived for more than 30 years, but this is the first time I've seen such a person. This mother and son pair are crazy. The onlookers around them were relatively normal. When they saw how shameless Tianjun and Song Feiyu were, they started to criticize them. This is our family's business. It's none of your business. Go, don't join the fun here. Tianjun threw a tantrum and gestured to the people outside the door to chase them away. Then, she looked at Wang Haoran with a smile. Son-in-law, what do you think? Wang Haoran was curious about their bottom line, so he said, 10 million, right? Are you sure you don't want to change it? Hiss! Tianjun and Song Feiyu looked at each other and could not help but gasp. At the same time, they became excited. It seemed that Song Jinyu's boyfriend was very rich. Even after hearing the betrothal gift of 10 million, his expression didn't change at all. Thinking of this, Tianjun asked for an exorbitant price. My good son-in-law, you heard wrong. I said 80 million just now. After all, we're planning to buy a house in a first-tier city like the capital. If it's 10 million, we won't be able to buy a good house. 80 million should be enough. Song Feiyu also opened his mouth wide and shamelessly asked, My car also needs to be changed. It's been driven for 2 or 3 years and is already old. Since we have a new house, how can we not have a new car? Brother-in-law, can you help me buy another car? It's a Maserati CEO. It's only about 5 million yuan. After thinking for a while, he suddenly felt dissatisfied. So he said, the CEO has a family car. I think we also need a sports car. Lamborghini or Ferrari or something. It's better to get one too. When the onlookers heard this, their worldview was shattered. Wang Haoran could not help but be shocked for a while. Then he smiled at Tianjun and Song Feiyu. 80 million is still too little. Let's just buy a building for our new house with 8 billion. Isn't that better? As for the car, I'll give you a Rolls-Royce. As for the sports car, I'll give you one in the tens of millions, at least 30 million. All right, I'll give you another 10 million for living expenses every month. I'll also give you a listed company and let you be the CEO. Hearing this, even the shameless Tianjun and Song Feiyu felt that it was extremely surreal. Tianjun and Song Feiyu wanted to confirm, so they could not help but ask, Brother-in-law, son-in-law, are you joking? Wang Haoran put away the smile on his face and asked expressionlessly, Weren't you the ones who joked first? Tianjun and Song Feiyu's expressions froze. Song Jinyu could not help but say, Mom, brother, don't embarrass yourself. He's not my boyfriend. Even if he is, you can't ask him for these things. Tianjun gritted her teeth and scolded, You ingrate. You're not even married and you're already siding with an outsider. I provided for your college education. Now that you're successful, you want to get rid of us? No way. Song Jinyu said, Provided for my college education? When I was in college, I earned all my expenses by working. When did you pay a single cent? Tianjun said, I gave birth to you and raised you. That's the truth, right? When your brother got married and asked you for a betrothal gift, you actually canceled your number. Now we have to come all the way from the countryside to the big city to look for you. Do you have such a disgraceful daughter? Before Wang Haoran had time to speak, a mother in her 40s immediately reprimanded him angrily. What a joke. I've never seen a mother like you. Are you still human? Your son has hands and feet. Can't he earn money himself? Why do you have to ask your daughter for a betrothal gift? Then let me ask you, when your daughter gets married, how much will you give her as a dowry? Tianjun curled her lips and said, When my daughter gets married, she belongs to someone else. They should give me a betrothal gift. How can I give them a dowry? When she said that, not only the mother, but everyone else present also became angry. They were so angry that their blood pressure soared. Seeing that everyone was angry, Wang Haoran said to Song Jinyu, Tell us how your family has treated you. Start from when you're sensible and let everyone be the judge. Song Jinyu also felt extremely wronged. After hearing that, She also narrated her story. The surrounding people immediately quieted down and began to listen. When Song Jinyu finished speaking, other than Tan Jun and Song Feiyu, who felt that it was only right, everyone else was furious. They spoke up for Song Jinyu and agreed with her decision to cancel her number. At the same time, they criticized Tan Jun and Song Feiyu for being extremely shameless. When Song Jinyu heard that, the grievance in her heart calmed down a lot. The words of the surrounding people were exactly what she was thinking. However, as Tan Jun's daughter and Song Feiyu's elder sister, she had always tolerated it. Now that she heard it from the mouths of bystanders, Song Jinyu was even more determined. She did not want to continue being held hostage by her family. From now on, she wanted to live for herself. Chapter 268. Song Jinyu heaved a long sigh of relief after confirming this thought. At the same time, she looked at Wang Haoran with a hint of tenderness in her eyes. It was Wang Haoran who gave her the courage to speak out about the grievances she had suffered over the years. At this moment, Song Jinyu inadvertently forgot that Wang Haoran was once her student. Instead, she treated him as a man who made her feel safe. Ding! The female lead Song Jinyu's favorability towards the host has increased by 5. Current favorability is 50 adoration. Ding! The host has influenced the plot and obtained 800 villain points. Yichio's protagonist aura -40. The host's villain aura +40. After a long while, the censure gradually died down. The 40-year-old mother tried to persuade Song Jinyu. Miss, it's enough that you've suffered so much. Such kinship is not worth maintaining. They don't treat you as a family member at all. You should cut ties with them as soon as possible. Otherwise, they will continue to endlessly demand. That's right, Mississippi. We'll back you up. Song Feiyu did not think that she was wrong at all, so she retorted, You city people are really bad. He's my sister. Isn't it normal for him to take care of his parents and brother? Why do you have to cut ties with us? Tan Jun said fiercely. Are you backing her up? Sure. This was a 5-star hotel. The people who came here to spend their money had a relatively good social status and economic strength. They were not the kind of people who lived in a marketplace. Naturally, they would not spout such vulgarities. Hearing Tan Jun's string of profanities, she could not help but be stunned. Don't listen to his nonsense. Hit him. In the field, someone let out an instigating voice. This voice also ignited the fuse of anger. A group of people rolled up their sleeves and swarmed in from the door, rushing toward Tan Jun and Song Feiyu. Wang Haoran pulled Song Jinyu's hand and led her away to avoid being implicated by the crowd's anger. Tan Jun and Song Feiyu were surrounded by the crowd. Their situation could not be seen clearly, but their cries of pain were exceptionally clear. Song Jinyu was stunned for a moment. Then she panicked. Although Tan Jun and Song Feiyu were despicable, how could the kind-hearted Song Jinyu remain indifferent when he saw them being ganged up on by the crowd? With this thought in mind, Song Jinyu looked at Wang Haoran for help. Wang Haoran understood and nodded to Song Jinyu. After that, he walked towards the crowd. Everyone stop. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Wang Haoran pushed through the crowd as he tried to persuade them. He kicked Tan Jun and Song Feiyu, who were on the ground, a few times. Tan Jun and Song Feiyu screamed, even louder. Stop fighting. Wang Haoran raised his voice and tried to persuade him. Of course, his feet didn't stop moving. After a while, the crowd started to disperse. Tan Jun and Song Feiyu's hair was disheveled, and their faces were swollen. They looked extremely miserable. You city people are too barbaric. You're not human. Tan Jun screamed and shouted at the hotel staff, who stood motionless at the door. Call the police. Call the police. I want these people arrested. Okay, Ms. Tan. The hotel staff smiled and dialed a number. Hello, this is the Shengting Hotel. We have 2 guests who stayed in rooms and ate without paying. They owe more than 30,000 yuan. Not only did they refuse to pay, but they also caused trouble in the hotel. Please come over and deal with this immediately. After that, he hung up the phone and looked at Tan Jun with a smile. Ms. Tan, I've already called the police as you requested. Tan Jun was stunned. Then, she pointed at the hotel staff and shouted, I want to file a complaint against you. The hotel staff stopped smiling and sneered. If he wasn't a hotel staff, he would have gone up to beat her up. Seeing Tan Jun and Song Feiyu's miserable appearance, Song Jinyu couldn't bear to see them like this. Seeing this, Wang Haoran said to Song Jinyu, "You haven't eaten yet, right? Let's find a place to have dinner." Song Jinyu said, "They don't treat me as their daughter or sister, and I don't want to treat them as my mother or brother. However, I still hope that they can go back to their hometown in one piece. I don't want them to be arrested." After hesitating for a while, she said embarrassedly, "Can you lend me some money? I want to help them clear their debt. It's the last thing I can do for them." Wang Hauer nodded and asked the hotel staff to bring the POS over. He then swiped his card to pay. In order to appease Song Jinyu's uneasiness, he even gave Tan Jun and Song Feiyu 3,000 yuan in cash so that they could at least pay for their journey home. However, Tan Jun threw the 3,000 yuan on the ground. "You only gave me this much money? Are you trying to dismiss a beggar? It should be at least 30 million. Otherwise, don't even think about being with my daughter." Wang Haoran frowned and didn't say anything else. He didn't continue to say anything because he understood that it was useless to say nice things to an extremely selfish person like Tan Jun. The more he said nice things to her, the more unscrupulous she would be. When it came to reasoning with people like her, fists were more effective than words. Although the people around them were angry, they still knew when to stop. Otherwise, Tan Jun's voice wouldn't have been so loud after being beaten up. However, Wang Haoran didn't plan to do it himself. He took Song Jinyu's hand and led her out of the place first. 20 minutes later, Wang Haoran and Song Jinyu arrived at a Western restaurant to have dinner. During the meal, Song Jinyu seemed a little absent-minded. Wang Haoran asked, "Are you still thinking about what happened just now?" Song Jinyu's emotions were complicated. She said sadly, "I don't have a home anymore." Wang Haoran put down his knife and fork, grabbed Song Jinyu's hand, and looked into her dejected eyes. "As long as you're willing, wherever I am, it will be your home." Song Jinyu trembled and stared blankly at Wang Haoran. Her cheeks couldn't help but blush. Ding! The host has stirred up the heart of the female lead, Song Jinyu. Obtained 200 villain points. Ding! The host has stirred up the heart of the female lead, Song Jinyu. Obtained 300 villain points. Ding! The host has stirred up the heart of the female lead, Song Jinyu. Obtained 400 villain points. Ding! The host has stirred up the heart of the female lead, Song Jinyu. Obtained 1,000 villain points. Ding! The favorability of the female lead, Song Jinyu, towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 60. Admiration. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. Obtained 600 villain points. Ichio's protagonist aura -30. The host's villain aura +30. Hearing the series of system notifications, Wang Haoran was dumbfounded. After knowing what had happened to Song Jinyu, he really felt sorry for the female lead. Just now, in that situation, he couldn't help but say such a sentence. He didn't expect that when it fell into Song Jinyu's ears, it became a critical hit. But after thinking about it, this seemed to be reasonable. Song Jinyu had made a major decision to draw a clear line with her vampire family, but her heart was actually extremely fragile. Wang Haoran's sweet words were naturally more effective than usual. Chapter 269. Song Jinyu met Wang Haoran's gaze. She felt her heart beating faster and faster, and her face was getting hotter and hotter. In the end, she couldn't resist that invasive gaze and shyly lowered her eyes. In order to hide her inner feelings, Song Jinyu used her dignity as Wang Haoran's class teacher and said, "You're not even 20 years old and you're still studying, yet you say you'll give me a home. You're really shameless. Stop talking nonsense. If you continue, I'll knock your head." Wang Haoran withdrew the aggressive gaze that men use to look at women. He suddenly said gently, "Sister Jinyu, what I mean is we used to be teacher and student, and now we're friends. If you're willing, you can treat me as your family. Not just me, but also Su Muyin, Wen Jing, and the others. They can all be your family." Song Jinyu was slightly stunned, and a sense of loss rose in her heart. What does it mean to shoot yourself in the foot? Song Jinyu's actions were like this. However, Song Jinyu didn't dare to reveal her feelings of loss. She pretended to forgive Wang Haoran and said, "So that's what you meant. That's more like it. Don't have any ideas about me. I'm not interested in young boys." Hearing Song Jinyu's words, Wang Haoran simply said, "Don't worry, Sister Jinyu. I respect you very much. I don't have any ideas about you." Song Jinyu's pretty face clearly twitched. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end, she swallowed her words. Wang Haoran pretended not to see through Song Jinyu's thoughts and said with a smile, "Let's eat." "Okay, let's eat. Let's eat." Song Jinyu nodded and began to eat her steak. In her heart, she couldn't help but want to slap her own mouth. She liked to pretend to be reserved, but now she was asking for trouble. Song Jinyu was depressed because of this and began to eat her steak in big bites. At this moment, a hand suddenly reached over and wiped the grease from her mouth with a piece of tissue. Following that, he even helped to brush away the strands of hair that had fallen in front of her forehead. Raising her black, jewel-like eyes, Song Jinyu looked at the person in front of her. Her bad habit of being a homeroom teacher was about to flare up again. She thought to herself, "What a hypocrite. Didn't you just say that you respected me? You've crossed the line. Isn't this an action that only couples do?" However, Song Jinyu swallowed the words that were on the tip of her tongue. She wouldn't do something as stupid as shooting herself in the foot a second time. Song Jinyu pretended to be natural and smiled at Wang Haoran before lowering her head and continuing to eat her steak. As she ate, she purposely smeared the grease around her mouth. Just as Song Jinyu had expected, a hand was holding a piece of tissue to help her wipe her face. Song Jinyu was delighted, but she didn't show it on her face. Wang Haoran didn't say anything, maintaining a silent, tacit understanding with Song Jinyu. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but Song Jinyu was very close to Su Mu Yin and the others. If his relationship with Song Jinyu reached the point where it was on the surface, Su Mu Yin and the others would have to explain and appease them. This was a very troublesome matter. Last time, in order to mediate the relationship between Su Mu Yin and Qin Yunhan, Wang Haoran had to act out the scene of him jumping into a river. His lips were about to be torn, and he practically used all the emotional lines he had read from idol dramas and novels to settle it. If it wasn't necessary, he didn't want to do this kind of thing again. If he could avoid it, he would. Moreover, for some reason, Wang Haoran felt that there was a joy in being sneaky. For example, this silent interaction with Song Jinyu. Not long after, the dinner ended with a little bit of sweetness and tacit understanding. After this dinner, Song Jinyu's sadness from breaking up with her family had mostly dissipated. After leaving the restaurant, Wang Haoran sent Song Jinyu back to the teacher's room in Qingling campus. Then, he went to the villa outside the campus. On the way, Wang Haoran took out his phone and found a number that he hadn't seen in a long time. Zhuqiu Qinyu. Calculating the time, he hadn't contacted Zhuqiu Qinyu for almost 3 months. When he gave Zhuqiu Qinyu the antidote, he had asked her underlings to come and get it. Zhuqiu Qinyu also didn't take the initiative to contact Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran could roughly guess the reason. It was because Zhuqiu Qinyu had lost a bet and still owed him something. Wang Haoran didn't forget about this matter. He just didn't want to look for Zhuqiu Qinyu. Because the two protagonists related to Zhuqiu Qinyu, Xiao Yifeng and Yang Wuxian, were already dead, Wang Haoran naturally didn't have the heart to flirt with Zhuqiu Qinyu. After all, Zhuqiu Qinyu was the big sister of the female lead. It was more difficult to win her over. Moreover, her current favorability was only 30. Under the circumstances that Zhuqiu Qinyu didn't attract the attention of the protagonists, Wang Haoran couldn't be bothered with her. Although Zhuqiu Qinyu was very beautiful and enchanting, the other female leads were also very beautiful and had their own charm. Moreover, Qin Yunhan, Qiu Qianwei, and Yang Jingwan's favorability was basically maxed out. Getting along with them was really much more pleasant. Wang Haoran didn't need to worry about anything at all. He could do whatever he wanted. If it wasn't necessary, why would he look for Zhuqiu Qinyu? However, in the current situation, it was necessary to contact Zhuqiu Qinyu. This was because Tan Zhen and Song Feiyu still needed to be taught a lesson. Wang Haoran didn't want to do it himself, so he could only send someone. Currently, he had 2 forces that he could use. One was the poison sect, and the other was Zhuqiu and her subordinates. However, the poison sex forces were used to deal with the protagonists. If he used them to deal with Tan Zhen and Song Feiyu, it would be making a mountain out of a molehill. It was best to leave this matter to Zhuqiu. After the call connected, Wang Haoren didn't bother with small talk and went straight to the point. I want a few repairmen. The other side of the phone was silent for a few seconds, as if in a daze. Only then did Zhuqiu's seductive voice come through. What are you repairing? Cars? People? How many people? What are your requirements? 2 people, a middle-aged woman and a young man in his early 20s. As for the requirements, it's fine as long as you don't kill them. The rest is up to you, Wang Haoren said. Actually, Wang Haoren wanted to send Tan Zhen and Song Feiyu back to the cauldron to be rebuilt. However, considering Song Jinyu's kindness, he ultimately dismissed the idea. Although Song Jinyu had chosen to cut ties with Tan Zhen and Song Feiyu, if she heard the news of their deaths, it would definitely affect her mentality. Zhuqiu, no problem. Then that's all. After speaking, Wang Haoren hung up. On the other end of the phone, Zhuqiu heard the busy tone and couldn't help but be shocked. She thought that Wang Haoren would ask her to cash in on the prize. Who knew that she was overthinking things? Buzz buzz. Just as this thought flashed through Zhuqiu's mind, her phone vibrated. Wang Haoren had sent her the information on the 2 targets. Zhuqiu put away her thoughts and immediately went to instruct her subordinates. Although she had become a full-time employee, she was still forced by her circumstances. As long as she didn't go overboard, her subordinates would occasionally earn some extra money. Repairing people was one of the ways to earn extra money. Moreover, the subordinates in charge of this business were all very professional. They did things quickly and accurately, leaving no traces behind. Chapter 270. Wang Haoren arrived near the villa and met Yang Jingwan at the agreed location. Then, he brought Yang Jingwan to the villa. The front door of the villa was equipped with a fingerprint lock. Only Wang Haoren and Tang Bingyun's fingerprints were recorded on it. To make it easier for them to meet in the future, Wang Haoren asked Yang Jingwan to record her fingerprints as well. That way, Yang Jingwan wouldn't have to wait around Qingling University in the future. She could just come straight to the villa. This is for you. As they walked into the living room of the villa, Yang Jingwan smiled and handed a small box the size of a fist to Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren froze for a moment before opening the small box. Inside was a shiny Rolex watch. As a rich second-generation heir, he had some knowledge of luxury goods. This Rolex was real. It wasn't some cheap product. Judging from the number and size of the sparkling diamonds on the dial, this watch definitely wasn't cheap. This must be expensive. Why did you suddenly think of giving me this? Wang Haoren couldn't help but ask. Yang Jingwan said, about 100,000. Didn't you get into Qingling University? As your senior and girlfriend, of course, I have to give you something. But the 1.5 million I earned from selling my house was all thanks to your help. I don't think it's meaningful to give it to you. I got my salary again this month. I earned it with my own abilities, so I bought you a present. Wang Haoren nodded. When is your birthday? Yang Jingwan understood. She furrowed her brows and quickly said, I gave you a present. I didn't expect you to give me a present in return. Looking at Yang Jingwan's anxious expression, Wang Haoren could more or less guess what she was thinking. In the beginning, Yang Jingwan was in financial difficulties. Part of the reason she came into contact with Wang Haoren was because of money. Now that Yang Jingwan's impression of him was almost full, their relationship became pure. But Yang Jingwan still held a grudge. She was afraid that Wang Haoren would think that she was with him because of money. So, when Yang Jingwan heard Wang Haoren ask about her birthday, she assumed that Wang Haoren's idea of giving her a present was to ask him for money. I'm just asking. I don't have any other intentions. Wang Haoren comforted Yang Jingwan after he sensed her thoughts. I'm not going to give you an expensive gift in return. Maybe I'll just give you a bouquet of flowers, the kind that costs a few dozen yuan. When Yang Jingwan heard this, she nodded happily. Just as she was about to say her birthday, she thought of something and said, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I remember. I told you when my birthday was. Have you forgotten? Wang Haoren was stunned. He really didn't remember this, but on the surface, he still said, "Hee hee, of course I remember. I was just joking with you." Yang Jingwan took advantage of the situation and asked, "Then tell me, when is my birthday?" Wang Haoren couldn't answer, so he changed the topic. He looked into Yang Jingwan's eyes affectionately and said, "Wan, you're so beautiful today." "Really?" Yang Jingwan lowered her eyes. Her heart was filled with joy. Wang Haoren moved closer to her and held her face in his hands. Yang Jingwan subconsciously closed her eyes and tilted her face up slightly. After a minute or two, when Yang Jingwan opened her eyes again, her mind was blank. She had forgotten to ask about her birthday. Wang Haoren stretched out his wrist and said, "Help me put it on." Yang Jingwan picked up the watch and helped Wang Haoren put it on. She then asked, "What do you think? Do you like it?" "I'll like anything you give me." Wang Haoren replied to Yang Jingwan with a jack-of-all-trades remark, making Yang Jingwan smile. She then asked, "Are you doing well recently? Has your house sales been going well recently? You're getting paid quite a lot." Yang Jingwan had just said that she bought the nearly $100,000 Rolex with her new salary. Judging from Yang Jingwan's previous performance, she wasn't suited to be a salesperson. Her performance was poor. If someone hadn't helped her last time, Yang Jingwan would have been fired. Yang Jingwan replied, "I didn't earn money from selling the house. I earned it from doing a part-time job." Wang Haoren was curious. "A part-time job? What kind of part-time job can earn you so much money?" Yang Jingwan said mysteriously, "Take a guess. There's a hint that you need to use a computer." "Are you also a video game streamer online?" Wang Haoren asked subconsciously. He had previously heard from Su Mu Yin that she live-streamed games on Douyin. If nothing went wrong, Su Mu Yin would definitely become popular. After all, she had the halo of a female lead, and her looks were outstanding. If she didn't become popular, it was only natural. With Yang Jingwan's looks, if she were to live-stream online, she would most likely become popular. "I'm not a video game streamer." Yang Jingwan shook her head. She then asked curiously, "Hey, why did you use the word also?" Wang Haoren replied, "One of my classmates has been live-streaming a mobile game recently. It's the game called Pesticide." Yang Jingwan replied with an O. She didn't beat around the bush and directly explained, "I'm writing online and the results are quite good. I earned over $100,000 in my first month." Wang Haoren was surprised. "Have you written before?" "No." Yang Jingwan shook her head. "I've only read about it before, but I've never written before. This is my first novel." Wang Haoren was shocked. That meant Yang Jingwan was a new author. A new author earning $100,000 in her first month? What would happen after that? She definitely had the potential to become a top author. This situation was obviously unusual. Although the shameless god of war, Su Lang, was already dead, Yang Jingwan still had the halo of a female lead. She was still the female lead. The special events that happened to Yang Jingwan were likely to lead to a new direction of the plot. In other words, a new protagonist related to Yang Jingwan was likely to appear. With that in mind, Wang Haoren asked Yang Jingwan, "Which website are you on? What novel are you writing? Let me see." Yang Jingwan took out her phone and opened a novel app. She then pointed to a novel that was trending on the homepage. This was currently the largest female channel website on the market. The website was promoted by top authors and was very competitive. It was known as the graveyard for new authors. The female novel that Yang Jingwan wrote last month was only 40,000 words. Moreover, it was updated within 10 days. In other words, the $100,000 in royalties was only earned in 10 days. This kind of result was enough to crush many top authors. She basically dominated the rankings. She was indeed the female lead. She was unreasonable. She was just a newcomer, yet she was so amazing. Young Master Lin has rewarded Wan with 1 million coins. Young Master Lin has rewarded Wan with 1 million coins. Young Master Lin has rewarded Wan with 1 million coins. Just as Wang Haoren was surprised, the comment page of Yang Jingwan's female novel was flooded with messages of reward from a reader with the ID Young Master Lin. Chapter 271. Wan. was Yang Jingwan's pen name. It was the same as her WeChat nickname. The news of the 1 million book coins tip finally stopped after the 100th time. On the website that Yang Jingwan was on, the exchange rate between real money and virtual money was 1 to 100. 100th time of 1 million book coins tip would be equivalent to 1 million. In the entire novel industry, a reward of 100,000 was considered the highest. A reward of 1 million was extremely rare. When Yang Jingwan saw this, she was shocked. She couldn't recover from her shock for a long time. The female novel website split the reward 7 to 3, and the author took 7. Yang Jingwan could get 700,000 out of the 1 million book coins. After deducting the tax, she would get around 600,000. She had earned 600,000 in such a simple way. Yang Jingwan was obviously stunned. However, Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. This was obviously unusual. Based on the ID young Master Lin, it seemed to be a man. It wasn't uncommon for men to read female novels, but it was rare for them to tip so many book coins. With that thought, Wang Haoran said to Yang Jingwan, "Lend me your website account. Use it as you please." Yang Jingwan replied without asking for the reason. Wang Haoran took out his laptop and opened the female novel website that Yang Jingwan was on. He logged in with Yang Jingwan's account and sent a private message to young Master Lin. "Thank you." The content was simple. Even so, young Master Lin replied immediately after the message was sent. "Miss Author, can you add me as VX?" "Sure." Wang Haoran borrowed Yang Jingwan's phone and sent her WeChat ID. Soon, Wang Haoran received a friend request. The message was, "I am young Master Lin." Wang Haoran accepted the friend request and looked at the information that young Master Lin had filled in. On young Master Lin's WeChat, apart from the fact that he was male and that he was in Qingling, there was no other useful information. As for his WeChat moments, there was not a single message. While Wang Haoran was searching, young Master Lin also sent a message. "Miss Author, I've already tipped you so much. Can you let me see your picture?" "Sure." Wang Haoran agreed and immediately went online to look for pictures. Yang Jingwan was the female lead. To prevent young Master Lin from seeing Yang Jingwan's photo and bumping into her in real life, Wang Haoran obviously wouldn't give him a real photo of Yang Jingwan. After searching for a while, Wang Haoran quickly found a beautiful woman's selfie and sent it to young Master Lin. As a villain, Wang Haoran was almost certain that young Master Lin was the main character. Wang Haoran used Yang Jingwan's private message to contact the other party in order to lure them out. "I even found the same photo on the internet. How dare you use a fake photo to trick me? If you don't have the courage to send me a photo, then you must be an ugly woman. Bye-bye," young Master Lin replied. After sending the message, Yang Jingwan's WeChat was blocked by the other party. Wang Haoran felt it was a pity. Should he say that the other party was too cautious? Or was it that dogs were too sensitive to meat buns? How could he not be fooled by sending a photo? If he had known this would happen, he would have just used Yang Jingwan's photo. However, it was too late now. Yang Jingwan's WeChat had been blocked by the other party. Wang Haoran returned the phone to Yang Jingwan. Yang Jingwan obviously didn't understand Wang Haoran's true intentions. She simply thought that he cared about her. So she complained, "What's wrong? Why did you specifically contact this young Master Lin? Are you worried that I'll be kidnapped?" Hearing this, Wang Haoran took the opportunity to say some sweet words. "Of course, you're my sweetheart. How can I not be worried?" Ding! Host has touched the heart of the female lead, Yang Jingwan. Reward: 300 villain points. Ding! Host has touched the heart of the female lead, Yang Jingwan. Reward: 300 villain points. Ding! Host has touched the heart of the female lead, Yang Jingwan. Reward: 300 villain points. Yang Jingwan's heart felt warm as she leaned her head against Wang Haoran's shoulder and said gently, "Don't worry, I won't leave you in this lifetime. Even if I die, I will be with you. In my next life, and the life after that, I will be with you forever." Everyone knew that women like to listen to sweet words. For some reason, Wang Haoran, as a man, also liked to listen to sweet words. Wasn't this abnormal? Wang Haoran suddenly had this question. However, this wasn't the question he wanted to ask. He looked at Yang Jingwan passionately. Their good chemistry made young Jingwon immediately understand. "I'm going to take a shower." After speaking, she quickly left. As Wang Haoran waited, he played with his phone. He suddenly remembered what he had said to Su Muyin during the day. In his chat with Su Muyin, there was Su Muyin's ID on Douyin. Wang Haoran opened Douyin and did a search. He quickly found Su Muyin's account. Su Muyin didn't post many short videos. There were only two. One was a short video showing off her gaming skills. The other was a daily video taken on campus. With just these two short videos, Su Muyin gathered over 2 million fans. At this moment, Su Muyin's profile picture had a red circle flashing. This meant that Su Muyin was streaming. Wang Haoran clicked on it to take a look. There were over 10,000 viewers in Su Muyin's streaming room. This number of viewers could be considered above average in the category of live streaming games. The hero she was playing, Aku, had already killed 10 people in the first 6 minutes of the game. The bullet screen was filled with all sorts of compliments. Wang Haoran wasn't in the mood to watch the game. After watching it for a while, he lost interest. He returned to his account and registered a new account. Originally, he had an account called Piano God, but because of Chiu Qinwei's acceptance speech, it was blocked by Douyin. After that, Wang Haoran didn't think about getting it back. After all, he had only registered that account for Chiu Qinwei. Now that Chiu Qinwei was his, the Piano God account didn't matter anymore. But now that Wang Haoran had decided to send gifts to Su Muyin to increase her popularity, he naturally needed an account. Not long after, the account was registered. The new ID was very ordinary. It was called Leaderboard Big Brother. Wang Haoran directly added 1 million yuan to his account. Then, he entered Su Muyin's streaming room again. He opened the gift window and directly aimed at the Supreme Salute, which was worth $66,666. If converted to real money, it would be worth $6,666. This was the most expensive gift in the gift window. Wang Haoran leisurely clicked the Supreme Salute cannon 100 times and received 666,600 yuan. The viewers in Su Muyin's streaming room were shocked by the Leaderboard Big Brother. The bullet screen instantly exploded. Even Su Muyin herself was astonished. Aku, the character she was controlling, directly rushed into the crowd and made a mistake. He was besieged and beaten to death, ushering in his first death in battle. In Su Muyin's streaming room, many viewers were worshipping the Leaderboard Big Brother. Wang Haoran glanced at the bullet screen and prepared to leave. He would give a rest to Su Muyin another day. However, at this moment, Su Muyin's live broadcast room once again displayed the special gift effect of Supreme Salute. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Wang Haoran's Leaderboard Big Brother was quickly pushed down to second place. However, young Master Lin's gifts did not stop. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Young Master Lin sent out Supreme Salute Cannon X10. Chapter 272. It was young Master Lin again. Wang Haoran was slightly stunned when he saw the Supreme Salute notification flooding the live streaming channel. The person with the ID Young Master Lin was most likely the same person who gave Yang Jingwan 1 million book coins. Yang Jingwan was the female lead, and so was Su Muyin. It seemed that young Master Lin not only had Yang Jingwan in his main storyline, but he also had Su Muyin. Judging from the way young Master Lin was giving out gifts, he was probably the main character of a godly tycoon. There were many different main characters of a godly tycoon. They were all weird and uncountable. Which type of godly tycoon was young Master Lin? The information revealed so far was still a bit vague. Wang Haoran couldn't tell which type he was. However, what he cared about now wasn't figuring out which type of godly tycoon was young Master Lin, but that he'd been pushed down to the second place. He had chosen the ID Big Brother number 1 on a whim. Now, he had been pushed down to the second place by young Master Lin. He couldn't tolerate this humiliation. Moreover, he was a supervillain, and young Master Lin was the main character. That was even more unbearable. Wang Haoran opened the top-up interface and charged 10 million in one go. Oh my god, this is the real Big Brother #1. 10 supreme salutes at the same time. That's $66,666. Is this the world of the rich? Young Master Lin, Big Brother is awesome. This is the real Big Brother. He was blown up by the supreme salutes. What's going on? Many words floated across the bullet screen of the live broadcast. Before this, these viewers were still worshipping Big Brother #1. However, after young Master Lin's actions, Big Brother #1 was completely ignored. They were all worshipping young Master Lin. On this platform, the X10 Supreme Salutes had a site-wide special effect. Many people were attracted by the special effects of the gift. The number of viewers in Su Muyin's live broadcast increased from 10,000 to 30,000 in just a few seconds. Moreover, the number of viewers was still increasing at a rapid rate. Young Master Lin's gifts were still coming. Young Master Lin has sent out the Supreme Salute X10. Young Master Lin has sent out the Supreme Salute X10. Young Master Lin has sent out the Supreme Salute X10. Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard is giving out 100 Supreme Cannon Salute. Young Master Lin has sent out the Supreme Salute X10. Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard is giving out 100 Supreme Cannon Salute. However, at this moment, among the many gifts that young Master Lin was spamming on the screen, a shocking notification popped up. Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard stood up again. Moreover, it was so ferocious that it was terrifying. It had directly sent out 100 Supreme Salutes in one go. After conversion, it would be 666,600 renminbi per transaction. Counting, it was 660,000. No wonder Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard didn't say anything. It turns out that he went to recharge money. No wonder you're #1 on the leaderboard. Good luck. The grass on the top of the wall will fall with the wind. The direction of the bullet screen in the live stream suddenly changed. After the gift stopped, Big Brother #1 foot returned to his position on the leaderboard. Young Master Lin was in second place. Looking at the value of the leaderboard, Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard had sent out a total of 11 million yuan. Young Master Lin had sent out a total of 10 million yuan. Big Brother #1 on Young Master Lin was going to bet 1 million yuan. Young Master Lin, who had been pushed down, had not moved for a long time. Obviously, young Master Lin had lost. Wang Haoran closed the top-up interface that was about to be filled with 100 million yuan. It seemed that the main character of the godly nouveau riche style's wealth was still a little low. Or to be more precise, this main character of the godly nouveau riche style had just started to develop. 10 million yuan was the current limit. At this moment, the number of viewers in Su Muyin's livestream had directly increased to nearly 200,000. This number of viewers at this time was undeniably the #1 on the entire platform. As the most direct beneficiary, Su Muyin was completely stunned. Big Brother #1 on the leaderboard and young Master Lin had sent out a total of 21 million yuan. The platform and the streamers split the gifts 50 to 50. In other words, Su Muyin had a pre-tax profit of 5 million yuan. Anyone would be dumbfounded to have earned so much money so easily, especially since Su Muyin was not a rich young lady like Qin Yunhan. This pre-tax profit of 5 million yuan had directly exceeded the total assets of her parents. Su Muyin was in such a state of shock that she kept making mistakes. The perfect score of 10 kills, 0 deaths, and 0 assists in 6 minutes had now become 10 kills, 5 deaths, and 0 assists. The situation in the game, which had a great advantage, had become a disadvantage. This was because Su Muyin was the only good player on her team. The other teammates' performance was mediocre. Su Muyin's team had collapsed, and so had her teammates. However, Su Muyin did not care about this at the moment. Instead, she switched to the game screen and secretly sent a message to Wang Haoran. Which one was you just now? Su Muyin remembered that Wang Haoran had said that he would send her gifts to boost her popularity. Between young Master Lin and Big Brother number 1 on the leaderboard, one of them had to be Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran replied, "Of course it's the first on the leaderboard. I said that I would support you. How can I be the second on the leaderboard?" Seeing the reply, Su Mu Yin did not feel very happy. Instead, she felt sorry for Wang Haoran's money. Thus, she typed a message and said, "Even if you want to boost my popularity, you can't burn money like this. You spent 11 million yuan in one go. Even if you have money, you can't spend it like this. Wang Haoran, it's okay. The money was sent to you anyway. Su Mu Yin, the platform will take a cut, and the streamer will have to pay taxes. Your 11 million yuan will shrink to less than 5 million yuan. Don't you feel bad?" Wang Haoran, "I don't feel bad. He could get the money back in minutes if he went to the stock market." Of course, he did not care. Su Mu Yin directly sent a voice message this time. "You don't feel bad for me, but I do." When Wang Haoran heard Su Mu Yin's tone, she was anxious and annoyed. He could not help but laugh, because Su Mu Yin's tone sounded like a husband had spent a lot of money to buy an expensive gift for his wife. However, the wife was not happy to receive the gift. Instead, she felt bad for her husband for spending unnecessary money. Sensing Su Mu Yin's mood, Wang Haoran also sent a voice message to tease her. "Are you so virtuous? You're not married to me, but you feel bad for my money? What? I'm not." Su Mu Yin was shy and immediately sent a voice message to refute. Then, she thought about it and continued. "Then do you think I'm much better than Qin Yunhan, the daughter of a rich family, in terms of housekeeping?" Qin Yunhan was used to being arrogant. As the only daughter of the real estate tycoon, Qin Kai, she had no concept of money. She spent money casually. In this aspect, Su Mu Yin was indeed better than Qin Yunhan. But could Wang Haoran say this directly? What if Su Mu Yin showed off in the future and told this to Qin Yunhan? Then, he would not be able to find her. Wang Haoran said, "You're so popular now. Stop hanging up. Hurry up and do the live broadcast. The other side is already fighting on high ground." He was using his own phone to chat with Su Mu Yin and Yang Jingwan's phone to watch the live broadcast. Therefore, he could take care of both sides. When Su Mu Yin heard Wang Haoran's words, she immediately came to her senses. Because of the supreme salute, the number of people in her live broadcast room was terrifyingly high. Su Mu Yin was not stupid. She obviously understood that this was a huge opportunity. Chapter 273. Su Mu Yin logged out of WeChat and returned to the game. She had set up the privacy settings for her live stream. She only streamed the game, so when she switched to WeChat, it wouldn't be broadcasted. Otherwise, her voice chat with Wang Haoran would have caused the bullet screen in the live broadcast room to explode. Because of Su Mu Yin's AFK, the number of viewers in the live stream decreased from 200,000 to 190,000. However, the number of viewers was still terrifying. In the game, the 5 opponents had already started to push for the high ground. Su Mu Yin's teammates were all counting down. Su Mu Yin controlled Aku to come out of the fountain. She first killed the archer and sorcerer in the back row. Then, she pulled back and killed the top laner and support. Finally, she dealt with the tank. She completed a 5-hit combo. This time, the opponents had underestimated her. However, Su Mu Yin's maneuvering was also very beautiful. She immediately won the cheers of the viewers in the live stream. Su Mu Yin's character, Aku, regained the economy that they were lagging behind. She could basically be considered one of the 6 gods. Because of this, Su Mu Yin's team's morale was greatly boosted. However, from the looks of it, Su Mu Yin's team was still at a disadvantage. As for the opponents, because of this, they became more cautious. In the following period of time, Su Mayan fights 1 against 4, going back and forth with both sides. In the end, Su Mu Yin used all sorts of mind-numbing maneuvers to win the game at 50 minutes. For a game like Glory, it was rare to see a 50-minute game. Su Mu Yin's level in the game rose from 79 stars to 80 stars. Although this game wasn't very high-end, it definitely wasn't a weak game. Su Mayan almost single-handedly led her teammates to victory in this game. From this, one could see her gaming strength. Meanwhile, Su Mayan's original 2 million fans had also risen to more than 5 million. While watching the live stream, Yang Jingwan finished showering and came out. However, Wang Haoran was a little busy, so he asked Yang Jingwan to play on her phone for a while. Yang Jingwan complained for a moment, but she still obeyed and left. On this side, Su Muyin had been live streaming the game for more than 3 months now. In addition to the long duration of this round, she was already feeling a little tired. Even her hands were sore and numb. Su Muyin wanted to take a break. Seeing this, Wang Haoran immediately sent a message to Su Muyin, asking her to show her face during the live broadcast. The reason he had this idea was, of course, to fish. Young Master Lin was still on the leaderboard in the live broadcast room. He had not left and had been watching the live broadcast. Yang Jingwan had already been blacklisted by young Master Lin. Now, she could only rely on Su Muyin. After Su Muyin received Wang Haoran's message, she switched to a webcam. At the same time, Su Muyin's super good looks were seen by many viewers through the live broadcast room. As she was inexperienced, Su Muyin didn't turn on any beautifying or slimming features. Because she didn't turn on any of these features, the live broadcast room was displayed as proof. Also, because Su Muyin was in the dormitory at night, she didn't plan to leave the house. She removed the light makeup she put on during the day, leaving her bare face. But even so, Su Mayan still made people feel incomparably stunned. The live broadcast room exploded with comments once again. However, since it was her first time showing her face, Su Muyin was still a little shy. So, she was a little reserved. After answering a few questions on the live broadcast room, she quickly went offline. However, after she went offline, Su Muyin realized that her original 5 million fans had increased by 9 million. It was about to break through the 10 million mark. Su Muyin was happy and sad at the same time. Actually, she only wanted to attract fans with her gaming skills. However, from the looks of things, her fans obviously outnumbered her gaming fans. On the other hand, Wang Haoran immediately sent Su Muyin a message after she went offline. Check your private messages to see if that young Master Lin contacted you. If he hasn't, send him a private message. If he hadn't mentioned this, Su Muyin would have almost forgotten about this young Master Lin. Just now, she was so worried about the gifts that Wang Haoran had sent her that she forgot to send a message to this young Master Lin. She didn't even thank him. Logically speaking, when someone sent her so many gifts, as a streamer, she should thank him by name. Su Muyin went to her private messages and quickly saw that young Master Lin had sent her a private message. In the message, young Master Lin asked for her private WeChat account. Of course, Su Muyin wouldn't give it to him casually. She took a screenshot and sent the content of young Master Lin to Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran took a look and immediately replied, "Give him your WeChat account." Since he was going to fish, he had to go all out. Using Su Muyin's WeChat account to add this young Master Lin would be more convincing. Su Muyin was shocked. Are you sure?" Wang Haoran said righteously. "I'm sure. This young Master Lin sent you so many gifts. He must be up to something. How can I tolerate that? Give me your WeChat account. I want to have a chat with him." Su Muyin was stunned. She was so amused by Wang Haoran's boyfriend power that she broke out into a smile. She sent her WeChat account to young Master Lin, and then sent her account number and password to Wang Haoran. Soon, Su Mayan's phone receives a verification code for logging in from another country. Su Muyin sent the verification code to Wang Haoran using normal text messages. On the other side, Wang Haoran successfully logged into Su Muyin's WeChat account. He added young Master Lin as his WeChat friend. Young Master Lin sent a text message. "Miss, I sent you so many gifts, but you didn't even say thank you. I'm so sad." Wang Haoran typed a text message. However, he felt that it wasn't enough to fish, so he sent a voice message instead. "I'm sorry. I was too focused on playing games and forgot. Thank you for the gifts." Her voice was sweet and alluring. That's right. It was Su Muyin's voice. This was an ability that Wang Haoran had specially obtained for his online relationship with Liu Yu. He could imitate all kinds of voices. After spending so much time with Su Muyin, Wang Haoran was very familiar with her voice. His imitation was more than 99% similar. However, when Wang Haoran imitated Su Muyin's voice, he had goosebumps all over his body. After all, it didn't feel good for a man to imitate a woman's voice. However, in order to fish, he had to endure it. Young Master Lin, Miss, your voice is so nice. May I ask if you're a fairy that descended from the heavens? Wang Haoran replied with a shy emoji. Young Master Lin, Miss, according to your Douyin account, you're located in Qingling. I'm also in the city. Can we meet? You took the bait. Wang Haoran smiled and continued to send a voice message using Su Muyin's voice. I have a lot of homework. It might not be convenient. Because of his failure to impersonate Yang Jingwan, Wang Haoran was more cautious this time. Therefore, he deliberately acted more reserved. One had to know that Su Muyin gave people the impression that she was a reserved and beautiful young lady. She wasn't a casual person. Chapter 274. Young Master Lin continued. Don't worry, I'm not a bad person. I'll let you choose where we meet. You can rest assured, right? Wang Haoran, I'll think about it. Young Master Lin, Miss, I've already sent you $10 million. You don't even want to meet me? Wang Haoran felt that he had enough of being reserved, so he reluctantly agreed. Then, okay, let's meet at First Love Cafe tomorrow morning. First Love Cafe wasn't far from Qingling University. Young Master Lin, okay, see you tomorrow. Wang Haoran, okay, that's it then. I'm going to rest. Young Master Lin, good night. Mississippi. Wang Haoran, good night. After that, the chat finally ended. Yang Jingwan, who had been waiting in her room for a long time, couldn't help but come to the lobby. She happened to hear Wang Haoran's sweet and lovely voice. Your voice. Yang Jingwan's face was full of shock. Wang Haoran couldn't help but feel awkward for a moment. Then, he explained seriously, this is an intangible cultural heritage. It's a vocal mimicry passed down from ancient times. I can imitate other people's voices. I practice it occasionally. I'm not schizophrenic. Yang Jingwan heard this and sighed in relief. She had thought that Wang Haoran was abnormal. That's amazing. Can you imitate my voice? After the shock, Yang Jingwan couldn't help but be curious. Yes, Wang Haoran said as he imitated Yang Jingwan's voice. His voice was composed of 1 or 2 words. Although it was monotonous, it had ups and downs. Yang Jingwan's face instantly turned red when she heard it. Wang Haoran asked jokingly, how is it? Do I look like it? Yang Jingwan complained shyly. You are a bad person. Wang Haoran walked in front of Yang Jingwan. The bad person wants to hear a demonstration from me. Is that okay? No. After saying these 2 words, Yang Jingwan pursed her lips tightly. She had already made up her mind to be a wooden dummy before dawn tomorrow. He would never utter a single word, nor would he make a single sound. Seeing this, Wang Haoran's lips curled into a devilish grin. Late at night, Tanjun and Song Feiyu came out of the police station. The 2 of them were beaten up in the hotel room. Naturally, there wouldn't be any surveillance cameras. Some of the people present participated in the beating of Tanjun and Song Feiyu, while some did not. Regardless of whether it was the former or the latter, everyone agreed that Tanjun and Song Feiyu fell down by themselves. Tanjun and Song Feiyu were beaten up. In the end, the case was dropped because there was insufficient evidence. The 2 of them were beaten for nothing. Naturally, they were very angry. When they came out of the police station, they angrily cursed in the direction of the gate to vent their anger. After venting, the giant baby Song Feiyu was out of his wits, so he asked, Mom, what do we do now? Tanjun hatefully said, let's find a small hotel to stay first. We'll go look for your sister tomorrow. Your sister's boyfriend only gave her 30,000 yuan. Does he think that we're beggars? Song Feiyu nodded and said, you're right. My partner said that she needs at least 300,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. Otherwise, she won't marry me. Tanjun said fiercely, don't worry. Your sister will pay for this. If she doesn't, I'll go look for her every day and make a scene at Qingling University. Your sister found a rich boyfriend and wants to dump us. How can there be such a good thing? Unless your sister's boyfriend is willing to give us 30 million yuan, this matter won't end here. Song Feiyu looked exhausted. I'm so tired. Let's find a place to stay first. I still have to practice my pesticide skills and strive to reach the gold level as soon as possible. Tianjin nodded happily. Yes, yes. This is a big deal. Hurry up and practice hard. Strive to reach the gold level and start a live broadcast. Then, you'll be able to earn big bucks. She quickly hailed a taxi by the roadside. At that moment, a van stopped in front of the two of them. Where are the two of you going? The van driver asked. Do you rent this car too? Tianjin asked. Yes. The driver nodded. To a small hotel nearby. How much does it cost? Tianjin asked. To the nearest small hotel. It's at least 3 kilometers away. Give me 10 yuan, the driver replied. Tianjin bargained. You're still charging 10 yuan for this lousy van. Make it cheaper. 5 yuan. 5 yuan is too little. Give me more. The driver started to bargain. Tianjin said 5 yuan. Take it or leave. The driver hesitated for a moment before saying, All right. 5 yuan it is. Tianjin's bargain went smoothly. She couldn't help but feel proud. Suddenly, she changed her mind. I thought about it. 5 yuan is still too expensive. 3 yuan it is. Auntie, 3 yuan isn't even enough for the fuel, the driver said. Tianjin said sourly, You're using this van as a taxi. I'll report you and make you confiscate the van. You're good. 3 yuan it is, the driver said helplessly. Tianjin said, Hey, it was 3 yuan just now, but you didn't agree directly. Now I've changed my mind. Give us a small hotel for free. Otherwise, I'll report you. The driver was stunned. He gave Tianjin a thumbs up. You're awesome. Tianjin smiled proudly. Then, she got into the van with Song Feiyu. The van set off. About 10 minutes later, it stopped. Tianjin grumbled. Hey, you're driving too slowly. It's only a few kilometers. You're wasting my time. Auntie, are you going to ask me for compensation for wasting your time? The driver asked. Tianjin was shocked. How did you know? The driver said, Just tell me directly. Do you want compensation for your emotional distress? Tianjin said, Nonsense. Of course I want it. Just give me 300 yuan. Song Feiyu interjected as he applied pesticide. I want 500 yuan. Pesticide just released a new skin. I want to buy it. Tianjin added, Yes, 500 yuan. I'll report you if it's 1 cent less. The driver suddenly laughed strangely. What are you laughing at? You're crazy. Tianjin cursed. Then she looked out of the window and realized that it was dark outside. Hey, I don't think there's a small hotel here. Welcome to the Midnight Spectre. You've arrived at your destination. This is the place that leads to hell. I hope you can live until dawn. The driver laughed eerily. As soon as he said that, Tianjin and Song Feiyu smelled a fragrance in the air before they could say anything. A strong sense of drowsiness washed over them. Both of them lost consciousness. When Tianjin and Song Feiyu woke up again, they realized that they were tied to a pillar. The surrounding lights were dim. It looked like an abandoned factory. Mom, where is this? Song Feiyu was scared out of his wits as he asked. How would I know? Tianjin stuttered. Sob, sob, sob. Around them, they heard a woman crying. When Tianjin and Song Feiyu heard that, they had goosebumps all over their bodies. It was late at night, and the surrounding lights were dim. Coupled with the strange driver and the fact that they heard a woman crying, how could it not be creepy when all these factors were added together? The woman's cries came from the left, then from the right, then from the front, then from the back. Tianjin and Song Feiyu were scared out of their wits. Whoosh! A red figure flashed past Tianjin and Song Feiyu's vision. Tianjin and Song Feiyu screamed in fear. Chapter 275. The next morning. It was a rest day, so Wang Haoran didn't need to go to class. However, he had an appointment with someone, so he still got up early. As a salesperson, Yang Jingwan didn't have any holidays. So, there was no such thing as a holiday. However, she was too tired. She didn't even want to move a finger, and her voice was hoarse. So, she decided to skip work. Her personality wasn't suitable for being a salesperson. It wasn't easy for her to persevere until now. Moreover, she now had a new job as a web novelist. As a newcomer, she would be able to earn a lot of money. This was definitely a promising career. Yang Jingwan had already decided to quit her job as a salesperson and focus on writing novels. This way, she would have a lot more free time. As a result, she would be able to spend more time with a certain someone. This was the happiest thing for her. Yang Jingwan continued to rest. She planned to sleep until 11 or 12 in the morning. On the other hand, Wang Haoren washed up and left the villa. At 9 in the morning, he arrived at First Love Cafe. He booked a private room on the second floor and drank coffee as he waited. After a while, he logged into Su Muyan's WeChat and received a message. Young Master Lin, I'm already at First Love Cafe. I'm in booth number 52. Are you here yet? When Wang Haoren saw the message, he didn't reply immediately. Instead, he used his X-ray vision to look at the first floor. Booth number 52 was on the first floor. It was the morning, so there weren't many people in the cafe. Wang Haoren scanned the first floor of the cafe for a few seconds. Soon, he saw a man in booth number 52. The man looked to be around 25 years old. He was quite good-looking and a little handsome. He was dressed in a suit and had a watch on his wrist. On the table in the booth was a Ferrari car key. At first glance, he seemed to be a tall, rich, and handsome man. However, after Wang Haoren took a closer look, he noticed a problem. The man's suit had a label on the inside. It wasn't torn off. It was new. He didn't even tear off the label. Was he planning to wear it once and return it? The branded watch looked shiny on the outside, but the workmanship on the inside was rough. It was a fake. The key to the Ferrari was actually a lighter. This was a fake tall, rich, and handsome man. You spend so much money online. Why don't you have money to buy a decent outfit? Wang Haoren was puzzled for a moment. Then, he communicated with the system and investigated the man. Protagonist: Lin Feng, combat power, 86 charm, 136, protagonist aura, 696, skill Goldfinger Internet God Tycoon System. Note 1. The system will distribute virtual currency to the host from various major websites. The host can continuously upgrade the system or obtain more virtual currency after spending all the virtual currency within a certain period of time. Note 2. Virtual currency cannot be converted into cash, nor can it be converted into cash through any form of transaction. Young Master Lin's information soon appeared in Wang Haoren's mind. Wang Haoren immediately understood that this young Master Lin was the main character of an internet god. The advantage of this kind of protagonist was that they could spend virtual currency on the internet without limit and obtain all kinds of benefits in the real world. Moreover, this Lin Feng was still in the early stage of growth. But even in the early stages, he had already spent 10 million yuan in gifts last night. After completing this mission, the Internet God Tycoon system would definitely give him more virtual currency. Imagine if this Lin Feng spent at least 10 million yuan on gifts to a beautiful online streamer every day. In the long run, even the female lead would have a good impression of him. Of course, there was a prerequisite. The female protagonist that Lin Feng rewarded would not like anyone if she was single. Otherwise, he would just be giving her money. Yang Jingwan and Su Muyan were the best examples. Their hearts were all on Wang Haoren. Lin Feng's actions of gifting the book coins and the supreme gun salute had only surprised them for a moment, nothing else. It was a good idea to get Lin Feng's money through Yang Jingwan and Su Muyan. However, Wang Haoren was not short of money, and he hated protagonists who pretended to be rich in front of him. He had been able to get first place yesterday because Lin Feng was still in the early stage of growth and had limited virtual currency. If Lin Feng was allowed to grow, although Wang Haoren was rich, he was not confident that he could compete with the Internet God Tycoon. If he forced himself to do so, there would only be one result, and that was to be slapped in the face by the Internet God Tycoon. This was definitely not what Wang Haoren wanted to see. Are you there? Why aren't you replying? On the other side, Lin Feng did not reply for a long time, so he sent another message to urge him. Wang Haoren put away his thoughts and used Su Muyan's voice to reply to Lin Feng. I'm still in the dormitory, putting on my makeup. I'll come over later. When Lin Feng heard this, he was overjoyed. She was so beautiful and even put on makeup to meet him. It seemed like there was a chance. Lin Feng replied, Okay, don't be anxious. Take your time. I'll wait for you. Okay. Wang Haoren replied again. Then, He found Ling Duanya's number in his address book and dialed her. Sister Police Flower, I want to make a report. When the call was connected, Wang Haoran went straight to the point. Haoran, what do you want to report? Ling Duanya was in high spirits and immediately asked. Last time, Wang Haoran had made a report. She had led a team to catch all the outlaws in Qingling and made a great contribution. Therefore, when Ling Duanya heard that Wang Haoran wanted to make a report again, she was naturally very excited. Someone is laundering money. Wang Haoran began to narrate. Who is it? Where is he? Due to their good cooperation last time, Ling Duanya trusted Wang Haoran a lot. Therefore, she immediately had the intention to catch him. Wang Haoran said, his name is Lin Feng. He's at First Love Cafe. He's sitting in booth number 52. Make sure that you're safe and keep him under control. I'll bring people over immediately. After that, the sound of Ling Duanya's hurried footsteps could be heard, as well as the sound of her calling for her colleagues. Obviously, they were about to make a move. Lin Feng, who was sitting in booth number 52, was still unaware of what was happening. He was using his phone to fix his hair so that he could present his best image and state to meet Su Muyan. However, after waiting for more than 10 minutes, the person that Lin Feng was waiting for was not Su Muyan, but Ling Duanya. The woman in professional attire in front of him was valiant and very beautiful. However, Lin Feng was not in the mood to admire her. Instead, he was stunned and confused. This was because Ling Duanya took out her ID to prove her professional identity. Then, she said sternly, Mr. Lin Feng, we've received reliable information that a few of your online accounts have recently received some unknown wealth. We suspect that you're involved in illegal money laundering activities. Please come with us to assist in the investigation. Lin Feng explained anxiously, You must have made a mistake. My money is clean. Ling Duanya asked, Is that so? Tell me, where did the money come from? Did you earn it? Lin Feng was speechless. He did not know how to answer. He could not say that the system gave it to him. Could he? Ling Duanya saw Lin Feng's guilty look and felt that he was even more suspicious. She said, Whether it's money laundering or not, we'll know once we investigate it. Then, she called her colleagues. Ask Mr. Lin to come with us. Chapter 276. Lin Feng had been taken away by Ling Duanya and the others. Wang Haoran, who had witnessed this scene from the second floor, leisurely finished his coffee and prepared to pay the bill and leave. But just as he stood up, he received a call from Zhuqiu Qinyu. The thing you asked me to do has been done, Zhuqiu Qinyu said over the phone. Is that so? What happened to those two? Wang Haoran asked. They've lost their minds. They've gone mad, Zhuqiu Qinyu said. Are you out of your mind? Wang Haoran raised his voice. Zhuqiu Qinyu heard Wang Haoran's reaction and thought that she had gone overboard. She hurriedly said, I didn't expect that those two would have such poor mental fortitude. They couldn't take the shock. Shock. Wang Haoran heard this and could not help but feel even more curious. Zhuqiu Qinyu said, Our repair business usually starts from two aspects. One is the mental aspect, and the other is the physical aspect. The mental aspect is to pretend to be mysterious and scare people. The physical aspect is naturally physical pain. Most of the time, we use the first method because it leaves the least evidence. But we didn't expect that those two would be so scared that they'd go mad. Wang Haoran clicked his tongue in wonder and asked, When your little brother did this, did he do a clean job? Zhuqiu Qinyu said, Of course. Even if they investigated, they would only think that it was a supernatural incident. After all, those two had gone mad. Wang Haoran nodded slowly. In a way, this outcome was quite good, because those two vampires would not disturb Song Jinyu anymore. Zhuqiu Qinyu had handled this matter quite well. Of course, that was what Wang Haoran thought in his heart. But of course, he would not say that to Zhuqiu Qinyu. Zhuqiu Qinyu's current position was only Wang Haoran's subordinate. He knew a little about the art of controlling subordinates. Wang Haoran pretended to reprimand her. How did you do it? I just want you to teach them a lesson. What I mean is that you just need to teach them a lesson. Now your people have driven them crazy. Although you said that you didn't leave any evidence, if you don't want people to know, then don't do it in the first place. Who knows if they will find out? Zhuqiu Qinyu was stunned for a few seconds. Her big sister's temper flared up, and she could not help but angrily say, "You were the one who said that it would be fine as long as you didn't kill him. You would allow me to do as I pleased. Yet now you're blaming me?" The sound of a slap on the table could be heard. "You didn't explain it clearly yourself. How can you blame me? Why are you blaming me? You don't want the antidote anymore?" Wang Haoran said lightly. Zhuo Qinyu's anger was instantly extinguished. After a moment of silence, she dejectedly said, "Fine, it's my fault. I didn't handle things well. But you don't have to worry about this. Even if something really goes wrong, I'll take care of it. I won't implicate you. Yes, I won't let you work for nothing. I'll transfer 5 million to you later. Take it as a reward for your hard work." "Okay," Wang Haoran said. Okay. I'll send you the car number in a moment." Zhuo Qinyu's voice no longer had the anger from before. Instead, it was filled with joy and excitement. Previously, Wang Haoran had given her a sum of money. However, she was a big spender and had spent all the money long ago. After that, Zhuo Qinyuan did not lower herself to ask Wang Haoran for money. Now, Wang Haoran offered to give her 5 million. Of course, Zhuo Qinyuan was happy. With this money, she could buy beautiful clothes and cosmetics. After hearing Zhuo Qinyu's words, Wang Haoran smiled to himself and hung up the call. The so-called art of controlling people, to put it in a more formal way, was to use the carrot and the stick. In layman's terms, it was a slap and a carrot. Judging from Zhuo Qinyu's reaction, this method was quite effective. Wang Haoran left First Love Cafe. As soon as he stepped out of the cafe, Qin Yunhan called him and asked him to watch a movie. It was said that there was a new romantic movie in the cinema. It had a good reputation and reviews. In particular, the male lead of the movie was a newcomer. However, his acting skills were extremely good. Some people said that the movie was supported by the male lead alone. Of course, this was a little exaggerated. However, it was enough to prove that the male lead of the movie was a very capable actor. Qin Yunhan had a strong desire to watch the movie. Wang Haoran accompanied her to watch the movie. However, when they were watching the movie, Wang Haoran was not in the mood to watch at all. He was just carelessly touching her. Qin Yunhan, on the other hand, was very immersed in the movie. She was moved to tears by the love between the male and female lead in the movie. After watching the movie, Wang Haoran quickly slipped away. However, as soon as he left Qin Yunhan's sight, Zhuo Qinyuan called again. She also wanted to watch the movie with Wang Haoran. Moreover, the movie that Zhuo Qinyuan wanted to watch was the one that Wang Haoran and Qin Yunhan had just watched. A bowl of water had to be equal. Since Wang Haoran had accompanied Qin Yunhan to watch the movie, he naturally did not reject Zhuo Qinyuan. When they finished watching the movie in the afternoon, it was already past 5 o'clock. Wang Haoran and Zhuo Qinyuan left the cinema and found a restaurant to have dinner. During dinner, Su Muyin contacted Wang Haoran again. They were watching the same movie again. Wang Haoran had no choice but to say goodbye to Zhuo Qinyuan and went to watch the movie in the evening with Su Muyin. When they came out of the cinema again, it was almost 8 o'clock in the evening. Wang Haoran wanted to find a place to talk about life with Su Muyin. After all, he had not talked to Su Muyin for the whole night. However, because of the big brother and young Master Lin giving gifts last night, Su Muyin attracted a lot of attention. Su Muyin had specially sent a message in advance that she would be streaming the game at 8 o'clock. In order to avoid losing fans, Su Muyin had to go back and stream the game on time. If Wang Haoran insisted, Su Muyin would definitely stay. However, he had also given 10 million yuan yesterday. A large part of the reason was to support Su Muyin. He could not waste this money. Wang Haoran temporarily dismissed the idea of talking to Su Muyin about life. After all, Su Muyin was in his bowl. She could not run away. At 8 o'clock, Wang Haoran returned to the villa. Yang Jingwan had already gone home. She was not there. Wang Haoran was the only one in the villa. However, Zhuo Qinyuan lived very close. He only needed to make a phone call to summon her. However, before Wang Haoran could contact her, Tang Bingyun suddenly arrived at the villa. The first thing she said when she saw him was that she wanted to go to the movies with Wang Haoran. In one day, they had to watch the same movie in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Wang Haoran was about to vomit. He was not willing to watch the late-night movies no matter what. When Tang Bingyun saw this, she did not insist. Instead, she walked directly to the shower. Everywhere she walked, there were clothes that she had left behind. Tang Bingyun was a female CEO. She had a good sense of time. Today, she got off work earlier than usual. Of course, she could not waste the extra time. Chapter 277. In the interrogation room. Lin Feng had been here for almost 8 hours. Other than when someone brought him food and water, he spent the rest of the time here alone. When he was first brought in, he was a little flustered, but now he was very calm. This was because he had secretly communicated with the system and knew that the virtual currency given by the system was safe and not illegal. Naturally, Lin Feng had nothing to fear. The door was suddenly pushed open. The valiant Ling Duanya walked in with a colleague with some documents in her hands. Ling Duanya sat down on the chair in front of Lin Feng's interrogation table and asked, "Where did you get the virtual currency on the novel website and the Douyin platform?" Lin Feng said calmly, "Of course, I topped it up myself." Ling Duanya pushed some of the documents in her hands onto the table in front of Lin Feng. "We've already investigated your background, occupation, and other information. You come from an ordinary family. Your parents are ordinary employees, and you're a salesperson in a company. The highest salary you've ever earned is only 5,000 yuan. This is enough to prove that under normal circumstances, you would never be able to have that kind of money." Lin Feng retorted, "Can't I win the lottery?" Ling Duanya said, "Don't worry. We have investigated all of this. You can't lie." Lin Feng said fearlessly, "Since you suspect that I have illegal money, show me the evidence." Ling Duanya was silent for a few seconds and said unwillingly, "We can't find the source of the 2 virtual currencies you topped up on the website. You have already spent them, so we can't trace it back. Also, the new 100 million virtual currency on the Douyin platform that has not been spent is the same. We can't find the source." Lin Feng smiled proudly. "If that's the case, shouldn't you let me go?" Ling Duanya nodded. "You can go. However, we have contacted the Douyin platform to temporarily freeze the 100 million virtual currency that has not been spent. We are waiting for a detailed investigation." Lin Feng was overjoyed when he heard the first sentence. However, his face stiffened when he heard the next sentence. The virtual currency given by the Internet God of Tycoon system had to be spent within 72 hours. If it was completed, the system would give more virtual currency as a reward. However, if he didn't complete it, the system would give him a severe punishment. Although Lin Feng was detained, he still had common sense. If there was no evidence, he wouldn't stay here for more than 48 hours. This was also one of the reasons why he didn't panic earlier. Ling Duanya said that it would take at least a month or 2 to wait for a detailed investigation. In other words, the 100 million virtual currency limit could not be spent within 72 hours. Ding! Virtual currency has been frozen. Host, please unfreeze it and spend the virtual currency to complete the mission. Ding! Virtual currency has been frozen. Host, please unfreeze it and spend the virtual currency to complete the mission. Ding! The system has detected the host's current connections and is unable to unfreeze the virtual currency within 72 hours. Ding! Mission failed. The host has been punished. Punishment will take effect in 3 seconds. Lin Feng received the system's notification and was so scared that his face turned pale. He shouted, "No, no, no, please don't." In the villa, ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes and caused the virtual currency of the main character, Lin Feng, to be frozen and unable to be spent in time. You have completed the system's mission and received 1,000 villain points. Lin Feng's protagonist aura -50. Host villain aura +50. Ding! The main character, Lin Feng, is unable to complete the system's mission. You have been punished by losing your little XX. Ding! Lin Feng has lost his protagonist status. Wang Haoran sat on the sofa and was about to take out his phone to use his Douyin when he suddenly received the system's notification. He felt disappointed at first, then he was amused. The reason why he was disappointed was because Lin Feng was too weak. He was defeated so quickly. In total, Wang Howren only received 1,000 villain points and 50 villain aura points for hammering Lin Feng. Of course, he felt bored. The reason why he was amused was because of the punishment for Lin Feng's mission failure. This internet god of tycoon system was too much of a scam. The mission failure actually caused the host to lose his little XX. Lin Feng could live the rest of his life without any desires. Wang Howren was amused for a while before he calmed down. Then, he started to use Douyin. He uploaded a short video on Douyin. Most of it was about Su Muyan. Obviously, after yesterday's gift incident, Su Muyan had become one of the most popular streamers on the platform. Yesterday, when Su Muyan went offline, Wang Howren glanced at her. She had more than 9 million fans. Today, it had increased to 20 million. This increase was really too fast. At this moment, Su Muyan was streaming. There were more than 150,000 viewers in the streaming room. This number of people was already at the top of the gaming live stream category on this platform. Su Muyan's gift count on the leaderboard today was not bad, but it was far from yesterday's. Wang Howren loaded up 100,000 and used it all, successfully taking first place on the leaderboard. Young Master Lin was already dead. Wang Howren's big brother number 1 was firmly in first place, unshakable. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing Yi Qiu to compromise and apologize to the villains. Received 1,000 villain points. Yi Qiu's protagonist aura minus 50, host villain aura plus 50. Wang Howren. Once again, he heard the system prompt message. After coming back to his senses, Wang Howren took out his phone and prepared to contact his little brother Lu Ming. However, before he could make the call, Lu Ming had already called. Boss, the Yi Qiu paid 100 million and even apologized. But I'm really sorry for making you spend so much money. Lu Ming reported and continued. Boss, tell me your account number. I'll transfer the 100 million compensation to you. Lu Ming did not dare to take this money, because the top lawyers hired to sue Yi Qiu were hired by Wang Howren. During this period of time, the amount of legal fees spent had already far exceeded 100 million yuan. In total, Wang Howren had lost quite a bit of money by receiving 100 million in compensation. Wang Howren sent his account number to Lu Ming and then returned to the call interface. He said to Lu Ming, "It's just some money. It doesn't matter. Whoever bullied my brother, I'll make them pay." On the other end of the call, Lu Ming sobbed and said emotionally, "Once you call me boss, you'll be boss for life. Boss, I want to follow you for life." Wang Howren said, "Don't be so emotional. Right, how's your hand?" Lu Ming said, "The splint has been removed. It's fine for light movements as long as you don't use too much force." "Does that mean I can go out and have fun?" Wang Howren reminded him. "You haven't forgotten what I said before, right?" Lu Ming said, "I'll find 10 beauties for you, boss." Wang Howren said, "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and go out and have fun. Go and lure the main character out." Lu Ming accepted the order and said, "Okay, boss. I'll go find the beauties right away." Chapter 278. After the chat with Lu Ming, Wang Howren began to think about Yi Qiu's case. Yi Qiu was entangled in a lawsuit. He was not convinced at first, so he chose to find a team of lawyers to challenge him. Under the intense confrontation between the two teams of lawyers, this case could be dragged on indefinitely. The lawyer fees of the top team of lawyers were very high. Wang Howren and Yi Qiu were both burning money, but Yi Qiu chose to compromise. Wang Howren was able to guess the reason behind this, because Yi Qiu felt that it was not worth the time and money. He did not want to waste any more time, so he chose to compensate and apologize. Then, with the resolution of this matter, Yi Qiu's main plot could continue. As expected, Yi Qiu would continue to recruit beautiful tenants. Wang Howren certainly could not let the plot continue smoothly. As the protagonist of the killer Fong Donglu, Yi Qiu's house was a crucial part of the plot. If there was a problem with the house, could the plot continue smoothly? While Wang Howren was thinking, Tang Bingyun returned to the living room. "Why are you still sitting here? Hurry up and take a shower." Wang Howren did not immediately get up from the sofa. Instead, he looked at Tang Bingyun and said, "Let me ask you something. Do you have any connections in the Project Quality Inspection Organization?" Yes. Why do you suddenly ask this? Tang Bingyin was confused. Wang Haoran began to make up a story. Here's the thing. I passed by an old residential building in the Qingling campus today, and I was almost hit by a falling brick from the old wall. I went to the owner of that building to reason with him, but the owner did not apologize, and he framed me for using a stone to break his wall. Tang Bingyan heard this, and her chest rose and fell violently. She was furious. How dare you? Tell me where the owner of that building is, and I will help you vent your anger by sending him to jail. Wang Haoran waved his hand and said, This kind of commoner, it is beneath my status to argue with him. I'm just worried that the residential buildings are too old and have serious security risks. This old building is adjacent to the Qingling campus. Many university students pass by there. To prevent the wall tiles from falling off again, I think we should do a safety check on the old building. If it is a dangerous building, it is best to order it to be demolished. Upon hearing that, Tang Bingyan gained a new understanding of Wang Haoran. When the two of them first met, Tang Bingyan felt that Wang Haoran was a kind, warm-hearted, and good boy when he opened the stone and bravely saved people. And now, Tang Bingyan had added the word love to these labels. He had almost been hit by a brick, but not only did he not take revenge, he even thought of removing this hidden danger to prevent others from getting hurt. Wasn't this great love? Tang Bingyan walked in front of Wang Haoran and touched his face gently with her hand. Her face was full of tenderness. Wang Haoran also returned a loving gaze and said, Then this matter, Tang Bingyan said, leave it to me. I'll get the quality inspection agency to do a safety check on the old building. Wang Haoran nodded and added, I'll tell you about the old building where the brick fell off later. I think this building has the biggest problem, so it needs to be inspected in detail. It's best to be stricter. Even if you don't say it, I'll do it. Tang Bingyan replied and said seriously, Hurry up and take a shower. I'm still worried. I'll take a closer look later to see if you were hurt by the brick. Wang Haoran looked at Tang Bingyan a few more times. A faint blush appeared on Tang Bingyan's serious face. She urged, Hurry up. Wang Haoran replied, Oh. Then he left Tang Bingyan's sight and went to the shower. Halfway through the shower, Wang Haoran's sharp hearing picked up an unusual sound. Wang Haoran used his X-ray vision and scanned around. He found that someone had sneaked into the villa's garden. Could it be Yi Qiu? This idea immediately popped up in Wang Haoran's mind. As an assassin, Yi Qiu's skills were beyond doubt. After being defeated, it was normal for him to come looking for trouble with Wang Haoran. In this regard, Wang Haoran could only mourn for Yi Qiu. With his current skills, Yi Qiu was just a piece of cake. He didn't want to kill Yi Qiu because he wanted to get more rewards. After all, the rewards for killing him in one go were too little. Take Lin Feng, for example. This time, he only got 1,000 villain points and 50 aura points for it. However, if Yi Qiu didn't want to be an obedient lamb and came to seek death, Wang Haoran would certainly fulfill his wish. It was a woman. As the sneaking figure approached, Wang Haoran immediately felt that something was wrong. It was not Yi Qiu. It was Bufian. Wang Haoran wrapped a bath towel around himself and quietly left the villa. When Bufian passed by the garden and was about to open the window on the second floor and jump into the house, he grabbed her shoulder. Bufian was startled. She immediately drew her short sword to fight back, but a strange force came from her shoulder, making her unable to exert any strength. Why are you sneaking around? What do you want? While Bufian was panicking, she suddenly heard a familiar voice. She turned her head and saw Wang Haoran's face. She heaved a sigh of relief and was pleasantly surprised. I knew it. Other than Senior, who else could have such skills? Although Bufian knew that Wang Haoran was younger than her, in terms of martial arts cultivation, the stronger one was the priority. Besides, she still had an impression of Wang Haoran when she didn't know his identity. Therefore, she continued to call him Senior to show her respect to Wang Haoran. You haven't answered my question, Wang Haoran said. Bufian hesitated, but she didn't hide it and told him the truth. Little Chin contacted me and cried that she was bullied by you. She asked me to beat you up to vent my anger. But I'm no match for you. In order to prevent little Chun from being sad, I pretended to come over. Speaking of this, a trace of shyness appeared on her face. I originally planned to sneak a peek at you and leave, but I didn't expect to be discovered. While speaking, Bufian took a few more glances at Wang Haoran. With the help of the light from the villa, she also saw that Wang Haoran was only wearing a bath towel. His perfect eight-pack was reflected in a pair of bright and watery eyes. She was stunned. Senior's figure is actually so good. Ding. Host has aroused the heart of the female lead, Bufian. Reward, 600 villain points. Ding. Host has aroused the heart of the female lead, Bufian. Reward, 600 villain points. After receiving the system notification, Wang Haoran's expression was solemn. He still maintained the cold attitude of a senior. Judging from Bufian's favorability of 50 and her tone, she shouldn't have any ill intentions. What she said should be true. Wang Haoran naturally wouldn't argue with her, but he still had some questions to ask Bufian. What's the identity of your second sister and eldest sister? Just now, Bufian inadvertently revealed a piece of information. Lin Shun asked Bufian to come over and beat up Wang Haoran to vent his anger. This time, Lin Shun asked Bufian for help. Wang Haoran was naturally fine. But what about the next time Lin Shun asked his eldest sister and second sister to come over? Wang Haoran was still a little wary of these two female leads who hadn't shown up yet, because from a 7th ranking, Qiu Qianwei, the higher the ranking, the more powerful the female leads were, especially when it came to the third sister, Bian Suan, and the fourth sister, Bufian. The two of them already had extremely high martial arts strength. The eldest sister and second sister who hadn't shown up yet were definitely more powerful, especially the eldest sister. Bufian said, "Senior, you must know about the hidden dragons in Young Phoenix's list, right?" Chapter 279, Hidden Dragon and Phoenix List. Hearing this extremely unfamiliar word, Wang Haoran was secretly stunned for a moment. But in order to maintain the image of an expert, he did not show any surprise on his face. Instead, he nodded calmly and said, "Of course I know about the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list. And when I knew about it, you were probably nowhere to be found." Bufian did not doubt Wang Haoran's words. Instead, she nodded and said, "Senior is right." "Senior, you're right. However, I have a pretty good understanding of the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list." "Really? Then let me test you." Wang Haoran took the opportunity to ask, why was the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list set up? It was set up by an intelligence organization in the martial arts world called by Shaosheng. On the list are all outstanding martial arts geniuses under the age of 25. In order to show off, Bufian explained the origin of the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list in detail. After Wang Haoran heard this, he had a general understanding of the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list. Back to the topic, he said to Bufian, "The question I asked you before, does it have anything to do with the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list?" Bufian said, "Of course it does. My second sister, Luo Qingqian, is now 23 years old and has entered the realm of Neutralizing Strength Master. She's ranked 2nd on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list." Neutralizing Strength Master, another unfamiliar term. Wang Haoran did not know how to get more information, so he asked directly, "What's the realm of Neutralizing Strength Master?" Bufian was surprised. "You don't know the different realms of martial arts? The martial arts I practice is quite strange, so there's no clear division of realms. So I didn't pay attention to the detailed division of realms in the martial arts world." Wang Haoran would of course not admit that he was ignorant, so he lied. Bufian was delighted and immediately explained, "The recognized realms of martial arts are divided into obvious strength, inward strength, and neutralizing strength. The so-called obvious strength is purely released by using the strength of the body. It trains the strength of the whole body and then concentrates all the strength to punch out, causing the air to explode. On the other hand, internal strength is to open up all the meridians in the body and cultivate inner breath, which is also true qi. Circulating your qi and combining it with your body's strength is called hidden force. As for transforming strength, it further regulates the internal organs, meridians, and strengthens the internal and external organs of the body, thereby accumulating more genuine qi. When one's Jin qi reaches a certain level, to the point where one's body is impervious to swords and spears, and is capable of injuring others within 100 steps, one would be considered a Huajin master. And when one's Jin qi continues to grow, reaching the point where one's Jin qi can take form within 100 steps, one will become a neutralizing Jing Grandmaster. After hearing Bu Fian's narration, Wang Haoren finally had a certain understanding of the martial cultivation realms. At the same time, he also understood that according to the classification of realms, the 50 years of true qi he possessed was actually equivalent to the neutralizing Grandmaster realm. And it was the kind that just happened to meet the standard. This was because before Wang Haoren had 50 years of true qi, it was impossible for him to be invulnerable and injure someone within 100 steps with true qi alone. In other words, 50 years of Jin qi was the minimum requirement to become a Huajin master. At the same time, Wang Haoren also understood that the so-called 50 years of true qi was actually a quantity. The so-called 1 year of true qi was actually the amount of true qi a normal martial cultivator could cultivate in a year. However, different people were different. Some martial cultivators could cultivate several times more true qi in a year than ordinary martial cultivators. In other words, one could cultivate several years' worth of true qi in a year. And these people were collectively known as martial Dao geniuses. Bu Fian's second elder sister, Luo Qingxian, was such a martial Dao genius. When did your second elder sister become a Huajin master? Wang Haoren asked Bu Fian. Bu Fian replied, my second elder sister started cultivating genuine qi when she was 12 years old. She became a Huajin master a year ago. After hearing Bu Fian's words, Wang Haoren immediately gathered the useful information. Previously, Bu Fian had said that her second elder sister, Luo Qingxian, was already 23 years old. A year ago, when Luo Qingxian was 22 years old, she was already a Huajin master. That meant that she had 50 years' worth of true qi now. It could be easily seen that Luo Qingxian's cultivation speed was 5 times faster than ordinary martial cultivators. After cultivating 11 years' worth of true qi, she had 55 years' worth of true qi now. Seeing that Wang Haoren seemed to be thinking, Bu Fian continued, if I'm not wrong, Senior should have 50 years' worth of true qi. However, your name isn't on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list. But if you really want to be ranked, you'll definitely be ranked 4th. Bu Fian's eyes were still filled with admiration when she said that. Although he was ranked 4th, considering that Wang Haoren was not even 20 years old and already had 50 years' worth of true qi, his potential was a little higher than the geniuses on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list. After all, according to Bu Fian's knowledge, the top 3 on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list all became Huajin masters after the age of 22. Only 4th. Hearing Bu Fian's words, Wang Haoren sighed softly. After you cultivate for another 2 or 3 years, the first place on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list will definitely be yours, Bu Fian said. Cultivate for another 2 or 3 years. Wang Haoren only smiled faintly and did not respond to Bu Fian's words. Instead, he asked another question. What about your eldest sister? Bu Fian shook her head blankly. My eldest sister's identity is very mysterious. Other than my second sister, the other sisters don't know much about her. Hearing that, Wang Haoren felt a little regretful and changed the topic back to Luo Qingxian. Where is your second sister? I don't know. Bu Fian shook her head again blankly. After saying that, she suddenly thought of something and added, but Xiaoqin's birthday is coming soon. Second sister should be here to celebrate Xiaoqin's birthday. Wang Haoren nodded secretly and wanted to continue asking, but he heard Tang Bingyun calling for him in the villa. Perhaps she felt that Wang Haoren had stayed in the shower for too long and was a little worried. There's nothing else. You can go back. Wang Haoren ordered Bu Fian to leave. I want to ask you some questions about cultivation. Is that okay? Bu Fian asked expectantly. Tang Bingyun's voice was blocked by several walls and became inaudible. Bu Fian's cultivation had not reached Wang Haoren's level, so she did not hear Tang Bingyun's voice in the villa and only thought that there were no outsiders in the villa. That was why she made this request. Another day, I will teach you when I have time, Wang Haoran said. If Tang Bingyun was not here, he would be very happy to help Bu Fian with this request. Unfortunately, Bu Fian came at the wrong time. Chapter 280. Hearing Wang Haoran's words, Bu Fian felt a little regretful and could only say, "Then you must remember to teach me when you have time." Sure. Wang Haoran nodded. Hearing this affirmative answer, Bu Fian's regret dissipated by more than half. Then she turned to leave, but she looked back 3 times with every step. At this time, Wang Haoran heard Tang Bingyun's voice calling him more frequently and louder. With Bu Fian's walking speed, he could probably hear Tang Bingyun's voice before he left the villa. Wang Haoran wanted to drive Bu Fian away quickly, but he soon came up with an idea. When Bu Fian took a few steps and looked back, Wang Haoran inadvertently tugged on her underwear. Bu Fian, who looked back, was stunned for a few seconds. She only felt that her pure heart had been shocked like never before, because she saw a scene that she had never seen in her 22 years of life. Bu Fian stopped for a few seconds out of curiosity, and then turned back with a red face. Then, like a fairy, she jumped out of the wall of the villa in a few flashes and disappeared. She finally left. Wang Haoran returned to the shower room. At this time, Tang Bingyun came outside and knocked on the door. Wang Haoran responded. Tang Bingyun was relieved. Late at night, Tang Bingyun had fallen asleep. Wang Haoran was still awake. He communicated with the system and glanced at the villain points on the interface. Villain points, 49,700. Before he knew it, he had almost 50,000 villain points. It was time to spend a lot. Wang Haoran spent 25,000 villain points and directly exchanged for 50 years worth of true qi. With the 50 years worth of true qi and his original 50 years worth of true qi, he now had 100 years worth of true qi. As his true qi doubled, Wang Haoran immediately felt a significant change in his body. Among them, the most obvious was his sense of hearing. Before, when he only had 50 years worth of true qi, he had to wait for Bu Fian to sneak into the villa to find out. But now, Wang Haoran could hear the sound of several mosquitoes flapping their wings about 100 meters away from the villa. As Bu Fian said before, Wang Haoran could reach her in an instant and condense her qi into shape. It could be seen that with 100 years worth of true qi, he was a master of neutralizing strength. After doing all this, Wang Haoran took a look to see if Su Muyin was still broadcasting. Calm. He opened it and saw that it was a message from Qiu Qianwei. I can't sleep. What should I do? Then I'll chat with you until you feel sleepy. It was already late, but Wang Haoran didn't feel sleepy at all. Instead, he felt even more energetic. This change was obviously brought about by the 100 years worth of true qi. After hearing Qiu Qianwei's words, Wang Haoran was naturally willing to chat with her. Qiu Qianwei, but I don't want to talk over the phone. Wang Haoran smiled knowingly. Then let's talk in person. Qiu Qianwei replied immediately. Are you in the villa? I'll go find you. Wang Haoran, I'm a little hungry. Let's go out for supper first. He had already thought of the script. After supper, he didn't want to move anymore. He would go straight to the hotel. This way, he could avoid a collision with Tang Bingyun. Qiu Qianwei replied happily. Okay, I'll see you later. Wang Haoran gave her a location and then quietly left the villa. He drove Tang Bingyun's McLaren P1. It was already late at night. It was unlikely that he would bump into Liu Yu. Moreover, the lights at night were not as bright as during the day. Even if he bumped into Liu Yu might not be able to tell that it was the McLaren P1 of the peerless stock god. In the living room of the villa, Lin Shun held his little face and looked in the direction of the main door. He was waiting. Around him, his 6th sister, Ji Shuiyao, was reading a science magazine. His 5th sister, Liu Yu, was staring at the stock market fluctuation chart on her laptop. His 3rd sister was studying ancient medical books. As for his 7th sister, she had just gone out. He didn't know what she was doing. Lin Shun was bored waiting. He wanted to find a sister to chat with, but no one answered him. How sad. After a while, There was movement at the main door. His fourth sister, Bufian, was back. Lin Chun was elated. He ran toward Bufian with his short legs. When he got closer, he lowered his voice and whispered, "How's it going? Fourth sister, how is it? Did you help me vent my anger?" "There's nothing I can't do. I've already helped you vent your anger." Bufian lied and said, "Let's forget about the grudge between you two. Don't mention it in the future." Lin Chun ignored the second half of her words and asked, "Fourth sister, how did you teach him a lesson? Tell me about it." Bufian's mind was still fluctuating. She didn't want to be seen through, so she immediately changed the topic. "I already said that I taught him a lesson. Why are you asking so much?" She looked at the time and said, "It's already late. You should go back to the dormitory." Lin Chun said, "Fourth sister, it's already so late. I'm not going back to the dormitory." As the number of guests in the villa increased, the 4 bedrooms were no longer enough. Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, Lu Yu, and Bian Suan took one room. After Bufian came, she could only sleep with Qiu Qianwei. There were no extra rooms for Lin Chun to sleep in. "There aren't enough rooms. Where are you going to sleep?" Bufian didn't try to suppress her voice and just used her normal voice to talk. Ji Shuiyao, Lu Yu, and Bian Suan heard it, but they didn't say anything. "That's easy. I'll sleep with one of you," Lin Chun said shamelessly. "I'm only used to sleeping with seventh sister, so you can sleep with them." Bufian pointed at the others in the hall. Seeing this, Lin Chun ran up to Ji Shuiyao with a grin. "Sixth sister from the Wisdom Society who is both beautiful and intelligent, can I know?" Without waiting for Lin Chun to finish, Ji Shuiyao sternly interrupted him. She didn't even take her eyes off the book. Lin Chun felt dejected and ran to Lu Yu's side. Lu Yu said, "I'm busy. Don't disturb me. I'm only used to sleeping alone." Lin Chun could only swallow the words that were at the tip of his tongue. He walked to Bian Suan's side with his last hope. "Go away." Bian Suan gestured for him to leave. Lin Chun was speechless. Bufian walked over and said, "You heard it. Let's go. I'll send you back to the dormitory." She didn't wait for Lin Chun's reply and grabbed him by the back of his neck and dragged him out. Lin Chun felt his feet leave the ground. He immediately started to struggle, shouting and screaming. He wanted to stay here and not leave. However, his short legs flailed in the air for a long time. His voice was hoarse. It was useless. Sixth sister Ji Shuiyao, fifth sister Lu Yu, and third sister Bian Suan didn't even look at him. This scene caused Lin Chun to feel extremely uncomfortable. Chapter 281. Ever since Wang Haoran appeared, the sisters had all changed. They were all leaning towards Wang Haoran. Damn it. If it was Wang Haoran who wanted to stay here, would you agree? In his anger, Lin Chun could not help but ask loudly. Bian Suan, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu raised their heads and looked at Lin Chun, but the 3 of them didn't say anything. However, Lin Chun felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. He had said so much to them before, but they ignored him. Now that he casually mentioned Wang Haoran, they all reacted. In the hearts of the sisters, Wang Haoran seemed to be more important than him. Ding. The host caused the protagonist Lin Chun to lose his balance. Gained 800 villain points. Lin Chun's protagonist aura -40. Host villain aura +40. Ding. The host caused the protagonist Lin Chun to lose his balance. Gained 800 villain points. Lin Chun's protagonist aura -40. Host villain aura +40. Ding. The host caused the protagonist Lin Chun to lose his balance. Gained 800 villain points. Lin Chun's protagonist aura -40. Host villain aura +40. Late at night, under the moonlight, on a small path, there was a figure dressed like an ancient lady walking. The lady's movements weren't fast. It was as if she was taking a stroll. But every step she took, she would be more than 10 steps away. It was as if she was teleporting. This scene looked a little strange, but it did not make people feel afraid. This lady was too beautiful. She had a perfect figure and an exquisite face. She was like a classical beauty that walked out of a painting, even if it was a female ghost. She was so beautiful that it was enough to make people forget about their fear. The lady walked on the small path for a while. Not long later, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. There were a few leaves on the small path. Following the lady's hand gesture, the leaves floated into her hands. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. She pinched the leaves and threw them in the direction of the small path in the darkness. The friction between the leaves and the air brought out a piercing sound that hurt people's eardrums. Qing Xian, you don't have to be so ruthless. A man holding a folding fan walked out of the darkness. He looked at the lady with a greedy smile. This woman was Luo Qingxian, who was ranked second among the seven sisters. At the same time, he was also a genius warrior ranked second on the Hidden Dragon and Phoenix list. Jiang Gaoxian, I'm not that familiar with you. You'd better call me by my full name. Luo Qingxian looked at the man in front of her with disgust and said, Qingxian, your words really hurt me. We've known each other for a few years. How can we not be close? Moreover, you should also understand my feelings, Jiang Gaoxian said with an affectionate expression. If you continue to be so disgusting, you might not be able to leave this place alive. The disgust in Luo Qingxian's eyes intensified as she warned. On the Hidden Dragons and Phoenix's list, I'm ranked first, and you're ranked second, Jiang Gaoxian reminded with a smile. That was 3 months ago. Luo Qingxian snorted coldly as a stream of vital energy flew out from her fingertip. Jiang Gaoxian waved his folding fan. Boom! The two streams of vital energy collided in midair near Luo Qingxian, causing a temporary vacuum to appear within the sphere at the center of the collision. Luo Qingxian, who witnessed the scene, narrowed her eyes and looked at Jiang Gaoxian with fear. From the previous exchange of blows, she could already tell that Jiang Gaoxian's vital energy was more vigorous than hers. Obviously, she had improved rapidly in the past 3 months, and Jiang Gaoxian had not lagged behind at all. You better not follow me. Otherwise, you won't be able to gain any advantage. Luo Qingxian warned again as she floated away. Although Jiang Gaoxian's vital energy was more vigorous in a life-and-death battle, the small difference in vital energy was negligible. Luo Qingxian might not win, but she would not lose either. Seeing Luo Qingxian disappear from his sight, Jiang Gaoxian did not follow her. He had already received the news that Luo Qingxian would be staying in Clear Spirit Sect for a period of time. Jiang Gaoxian was not in a hurry. After making up his mind, Jiang Gaoxian lowered his head and looked at his long robe. Previously, in a martial arts sect that had little contact with the outside world, such a long robe was normal. However, now that he was in the city, it was obviously a little strange. It was nighttime and no one saw him, so it did not matter. However, in the day, it would be different. In order to avoid attracting attention, it was better to change it in time. In addition, he had to buy some expensive clothes in the city. However, he was in a hurry to leave and did not bring any money from the secular world. However, this was not a big problem. Jiang Gaoxian's figure flashed and soon disappeared from the path and came to a nearby road. At this moment, a cool sport car happened to drive over. Jiang Gaoxian stood in the middle of the road and stopped the sports car. The car window rolled down. Wang Haoren's head popped out and immediately sensed the vital energy fluctuation on Jiang Gaoxian's body. The intensity of this vital energy fluctuation was about 65 years. 65 years of vital energy was the strongest person Wang Haoren had met so far. Your car is not bad. I'll take it. Also, prepare 50 million for me, Jiang Gaoxian said in a commanding tone. Looking at this familiar scene, Wang Haoren could not help but laugh. Not long ago, when he was driving a Bugatti on the road, Xiao Wanwan had done something similar. At that time, he did not argue with Xiao Wanwan because she was the female lead. Wang Haoren did not immediately respond to Jiang Gaoxian's words. Instead, he walked out of the driver's seat. Seeing this, Jiang Gaoxian thought that Wang Haoren was more tactful. He walked up to Wang Haoren. It's your great honor to be able to work for me, Jiang Gaoxian said in a superior tone. However, before he could finish, a slap suddenly flew over and made an intimate contact with his face. Jiang Gaoxian's face was deformed by the huge force. Then his whole body was driven by this huge force and flew in a parabola in the air and plunged into a trash can on the side of the road. His nose was filled with a putrid smell. It was nauseating. But at this moment, Jiang Gaoxian did not care about this. He plunged straight into the trash can and did not dare to move at all. He was playing dead. From a force, just now, Jiang Gaoxian could tell that he was definitely not that person's opponent. Also, even if he wanted to escape, he would not be able to. Playing dead was the best idea he could think of at the moment. On the road, Wang Howren looked at the trash can without any movement. He did not think that the other party was dead. He knew the strength of his slap. With that guy's 65 years of true chi, it was impossible for him to be slapped to death by him. There were two possibilities. Either he had fainted or he was playing dead. But no matter which one it was, Wang Howren did not plan to go over and drag the other party out, because the trash can was too dirty. Wang Howren was a bit of a clean freak. He was not even willing to go near the smelly trash can, let alone go over and look. Boom, boom. The McLaren P1's engine roared and soon disappeared at the end of the road.